Chapter 34. Loving Luna. Xenophilius drank from the shaking glass as his eyes stared aimlessly over the pages of his latest column. The older man's tired fingers ached from another long day of writing, yet it was better than the emptiness that filled his very being. He rubbed his pale green face with his calloused hands as he remembered what had become of the muggle, Grimhilda, who had the goal to be judge and jury. However, it was the wraith that held the title of executioner. Xenophilius' skin returned to its normal shade of pale after he had vanished his mess the memory had made on the floor. He looked upon the article with pride as he removed the parchment from the typewriter his late wife had bought him many years ago. He had now finished every article for this month's Quibbler, and again it heavily featured his daughter and her cursed cause, a cause that he somewhat agreed with and largely didn't. He held back none of his views on the matter, only his reasons. His daughter's life was her own, as was his, and he flat out refused to tell another soul anything that could endanger them. He treasured his secrets. It was these secrets that had kept his daughter alive for so long, if she was still alive, that is. One would say he was a man obsessed, and one would be right. After all, what Wash without his daughter? The body of Pandora remained scarred into his mind, and the longer Luna remained missing, the more the images of Pandora and Luna began to merge, and it was the latter that lay dead on the cellar floor. It was during moments like this that Xenophilius would walk out of the house and to the room that held all the pictures he had taken of his daughter. Instead, he opened a little scrapbook that held the only remaining picture to survive the destruction of his house. At least that house was rebuilt, but you can't rebuild a picture. Once again, Xenophilius began to cry as he saw how happy his child once was, playing with his beloved wife in the backyard, helping her mother paint the house, only with food. The way her face lit up when her mother gifted her with her very own scrapbook, so Luna could color pictures in it like she had done as a child. The final surviving picture made his heart ache, the three of them sitting around a Christmas tree as Luna held an owl in her arms. Pandora had joked that Luna had once stared at an owl for too long, and that was why her eyes were often so wide. Xenophilius remembered the day the poor owl died when it gave birth to chickens. In hindsight, buying an owl from a three-eyed warlock was most unwise. He remembered how the 6-year-old Luna had cried, how Pandora would offer her shoulder to be dampened with tears, and then would sing her daughter to sleep. Pandora had told sweet Luna that the dead never truly leave us, and that they are just waiting beyond the veil for us to join them in our own time. Xenophilius believed the first part. Despite everything, the memory still brought a smile to his face as he remembered how close the two were, and how much having a daughter had meant to Pandora. It wasn't good enough, though, and now Xenophilius sat alone in his study, dreaming of a past that would never come again. I should have been there, the old wizard whispered to himself, the mantra that haunted his existence. He was shaken from his morning by a tapping on the door. Zeno's face turned grey as he shuddered. He slowly walked out of his study and down the stairs until he was standing in front of the back door. He raised his wand and waved the door open. He waved it slowly, but not slow enough, as he flinched in fright of the door's sudden movement. When he opened his eyes, he realized there was not a soul in sight, nor any sign anyone was ever here, except for the letter that rested on the welcome mat. After casting a series of detection spells on the note as he checked for curses, Xenophilius bent down and grasped the letter with his long, bony hands. He read the letterhead and gasped, his heart beating in his throat. This note was in his daughter's handwriting. "Luna," he uttered as he slammed the door shut and ran into his study, casting locking charms and wards around his study. Holding his breath, he opened the letter as carefully as he could and tensed as the parchment cracked as it unfolded. Eyes wide, Xenophilius read the first link back to his daughter in months. "Dearest father, it has indeed been far too long. It has been longer for me than you, but long nonetheless, since I have written to you. When I left for Hogwarts for the first time, I promised you to write every week. I kept that vow, and though there were some letters I was unable to send, I wrote them just the same. I apologize for my tardiness, for I've been gone a long time. After the horrible mess that was the Hogwarts riot, Harry and I left to a place far away. That is about as much information as I can safely give, but know that despite everything, I am happy. I miss you, though. I think of you every day and I can't bear it. I keep thinking about how worried and lonely you must be. I saw you today, Father, or at least I saw you the day I wrote this, as I am not sure when it can be delivered safely. I was with Harry at that horrible woman's speech. Please take care of yourself, Father. I don't know where my mission will take me, but my heart will always be with you. You are the only family I have left, now that Phileas has. I have spent just about every waking moment with Harry. We lived in this magical place like nothing we had seen before. It felt like we stayed for years, or maybe it really was just days. Either way, they were the happiest days of my life. While we lived in this paradise, we shared everything. I love him, Father, far more than before, far more than I ever thought possible. The very thought of losing him terrifies me more than I ever thought possible. I've lost so much, but I feel as long as I have him by my side, we can face anything. Is that how it felt with Mum? She once told me that I would find someone who would walk through fire and slay a dragon to reach me, that I would find someone to share my life with. I often wonder if I have found this in Harry. I could really use your advice right about now. I wish you were here with me so you could help keep me sane. I've been called loony for years, but sometimes I think I really am going mad, though it might just be the Nargles. I have found out so much, but every answer leads to more questions. I know that unless I can solve this very soon, I will be a squib again. Yet failure feels far worse than that. At first it was the fear of losing my magic, then it was letting the muggles and squibs down, but now it feels far worse than that. I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders. Please be careful, Father. I have a bad feeling something horrible is going to happen if it hasn't already. Something bigger than the Totalitter or my mission. Something bigger than us all, and it's bad, very bad. I love you, Father. I'm sorry I haven't written or spoke to you in person for so long. I know you don't agree with what I'm doing. It was wrong of me to cut you out of my life. I find myself understanding your reservations more and more every day. My thoughts are often with my mother. I spoke with her, and she was like an angel. Now, though, I have seen things that make me hesitate. I saw you and her fight in her lab, the night she... I confess I did not hear or understand it all for that matter. I am certain, however, that you know who the Earth Mother is. There are so many questions I must ask you, but I know that no answer will be coming by owl. I have to finish my mother's work, but I can't hope to solve the mysteries of magic when I seem to know nothing of my own mother. I have included an enchanted parchment with his letter. If you have an answer for me, or just want to leave me kind words, just write them on the sheet of paper. The parchment will ignite in flames within 30 seconds after you've finished writing in it, so I advise you to throw it in the fireplace so nothing of value burns. Whatever you write, or choose not to write, know that I love you and will always love you. I really miss you. So much. P.S. I found a crumple-horned snorkack, a real snorkack. P.P.S. Technically I conjured it into existence, but it still counts. Harry says it does, but I know he doesn't think so. It still counts, though. P.P.P.S. I named her Sunny Muffin. Xenophilius laughed and cried as he read the letter. He felt his heart swell from the many emotions that waged war in his soul. He mourned his loneliness. He could hardly read on as he read of his daughter's vows. He felt so helpless hearing the cry for help in her words, or at least the request for answers. Yet he could not help but smile. He knew that his daughter was finally growing up. His daughter was becoming the woman he knew she could be, and that was worth any price, even if the price was letting his daughter go, as every loving father must do in his life. He also felt his face lose what little blood that remained as his daughter wrote of Pandora. How much did she know? Xenophilius muttered to himself, his voice full of fear. What has she seen? What has she heard? What does she know? the Nargles. He had heard of their appearance at the Hogwarts riot and had nearly fainted from the very mention of the horrid things. He remembered his wife, the woman he had loved, and the madness that consumed her. Xenophilius Lovegood shuddered before he reread the letter with a clear mind. He then took the accompanying blank parchment along with his personal quill. He paused as he remembered his daughter's words. He had to be careful what he wrote on the parchment. After a moment, though, Xenophilius quickly wrote down the first words that came to his head, knowing they were from the heart. Merlin knew when he would get another chance to do this. Love him, child. Love him with all your heart. Don't let anything come between your love, for it is the most precious of magic. Xenophilius paused as he realized his wrists were shaking. In that moment, he considered confessing everything, every secret, every truth, everything that he knew of Pandora, her work, and the one Luna referred to as the Earth Mother. He had barely begun to write when he paused and remembered. Trembling, he rose from his desk and waved his wand at the portrait of Newton's Scamander. The wall turned from blue to orange, and Mr. Lovegood walked through it with ease. Inside, this hidden room held his most private artifact. Pandora had known of its existence and had even used it under her husband's supervision. Pandora died never knowing where Xenophilius had hidden it, both agreeing that some things should remain private. It was a pensive, passed down generation to generation. He twirled his wand in the silver liquid and saw the memory come to life. The vial was still there, as it had always been these past few months. It was not the vial that Xenophilius usually used for this. It was still full of memories. Not his memories, but Pandora's. Xenophilius knew in his heart he shouldn't have done it, but when he had read what Pandora had written on the vial, he had no choice. When he had first done it, he only wished to see his daughter after she was nearly killed. Seeing her and the Potter boy heading back to Hogwarts that very night was a tremendous relief to the eccentric man and a knife to the heart as he realized painfully that he had been replaced. He prayed to the goddess of magic that Harry would do a far better job of looking after Luna than her father had done. The very next day, Xenophilius was alerted by Phileas of the death of two students. One of them was the brat that exposed Luna to the world as a squib. The other made the attempt on her life. A day did not go by without Xenophilius attempting to get into the halls of Hogwarts. More often than not, he was caught by an aura and sent home. Luna and her company, who avoided the mysterious guards of Hogwarts, remained ignorant of these blunders. Eventually, the temptation was too much to ignore, and Xenophilius entered Harry's private quarters. He searched through his family's research and was frightened by their progress. Then he found the vial and read the words on it. Take with you. Do not use until instructed. Love, Mum. And he remembered. He remembered the danger Luna had been in for the last few years, the justified paranoia he lived with every day since his child was born. He remembered his daughter staring vacantly from the dinner table. Memories of her daughter's oblivious nature to those who wronged her, her inability to make friends and Zeno's inability to reach her. He remembered what he had witnessed earlier that day and realized with dawning horror that his daughter had seen the slaughter as well, with her own eyes. So many memories, so many secrets, so much guilt and so much pain. Xenophilius suddenly wished he had never gotten the letter at all. In that moment, all he wished for was to crawl up to his bed and dream of his fractured family, whole once more. With burning eyes, he finished his short message, and without another thought left the room, leaving the parchment to burn. If he was lucky, the blasted letter would set the house on fire. Across the country, a blonde-haired, silver-eyed girl read her father's message. The first two lines warmed her heart, and she felt her tears stain the parchment. Just knowing that she made a connection with her father for the first time in so long left her overwhelmed with feelings she has mistakenly thought she mastered. Now she was beginning to doubt if such a thing would ever be possible for her, or anyone. But then another line appeared on the parchment, and the warmth in Luna's heart bled away, leaving her cold and shivering. Let sleeping dogs lie. Luna looked over to Harry and smiled to see he was finally asleep. Her smile felt forced, though, as Harry's sleep was anything but peaceful. He seemed so lost these past few days. The week at the LLR had been a rough one, as Harry relentlessly prepared the LLR for battle, while Hermione worked on ways to pull this off without it coming to that. Luna would offer her input on occasion, but spent most of her time preparing for what tomorrow would bring. Tonight, however, Luna could not sleep. She could only let her mind be bombarded with thoughts, as her heart ached, like someone far older and broken than herself. Luna quietly rose from the bed, making sure not to disturb Harry's restless sleep. Luna let her eyes close and began to meditate, struggling to ignore the pain in her heart. It must have been hours before they came. "We are here, moon child. What is it that troubles your little heart?" Anarchy whispered solemnly, though Luna could not help but detect the mischief in his voice. Luna closed her eyes even tighter as she tried to drown out the Noggles' voices. "Go away," Luna whimpered. "The moon baby wants to cry." "And you, Alpha Alpha cackled as Luna felt something poke her shoulder. Luna did not open her eyes as she hissed, "I'm not going to cry." "Then why close your eyes?" Anarchium uttered as Luna felt another poke, this time on her forehead. "Open your eyes, Luna." Luna felt her eyes open and beheld the sight of the Noggles. In the great blank white of her mind, the Noggles seemed brighter than a blood-red rainbow. They all looked rather amused and somewhat confused. Luna just felt used. Luna could feel her tears run down her cheek as she whispered, "You're going to take my magic, aren't you?" The Noggles for once were silent. None of them were smiling. Eventually, one of them spoke sadly. "It is a possibility that may very well happen," Anarchy replied honestly. "It most likely will." Luna backed away from the creatures and reached for her wand, only to remember she didn't have a wand. Not anymore. This only made her whimper. "Why? If we told you why, you would lose your magic before you could say Arbadakaba backwards." And you Alpha Iota Alpha warned, poking Luna again. This time she slapped his hand away. Luna cried out, "I thought you wanted to help me, not hinder me. I thought. We do want to help you." "The children of the wise do not desire magic," Anarchium stated dismissively. "We only wish to help and guide you." "Who are you? What do you want? What did you do to my mother? What are you doing to me?" Luna cried out as she felt anger consume her. One of the Noggles placed a hand on her cheek, and Luna felt her eyes close and her anger faded. "We are not your enemy, Moonchild," and you Alpha Alpha hummed. Anarchy, his hand still on Luna's cheek, whispered kindly, "We are your friends." "You are," Luna whispered emotionally as her eyes widened. "Of course, sweet child, we are friends just as we were to the Moon Mother many years ago," Anarchium said with more kindness. "So much has changed," Anarchium muttered wistfully. "Yet some things have not at all. When the Moon Mother died, we grieved," Anarchy mournfully uttered. And you Alpha Ota Alpha nodded, bobbing his head. "We have been lying dormant for many of years. But we have always been with you, guiding and protecting you," Anarchy continued. "From those who wish to do you harm," Anarchium finished. "What do you mean?" Luna asked with confusion in her eyes. "Remember what happened to Miss Bulstrode?" And you Alpha Iota Alpha cackled with mischief. Luna was startled by the three Noggles and backed away. "It was you. I thought it. It was an accident. They insulted the Moon Mother and child. You were too easy to insult, but near impossible to hurt. Then they found a way to hurt you, so they did. They called you mad, and then they called her mad. We did not like it, not one bit, so we played with them." And you Alpha Ota Alpha sung with malice and mirth. "Some we just played pranks on, some we scared, a couple we threatened, in our own way. It did not work, it only seemed to encourage them. We fixed that when the bulldog girl, Bulstrode, made you cry." Luna looked at the Noggles confused. "She didn't make me cry." "She made us cry, though. What is the difference between the two?" Anarchium growled. "You could not feel, but you could think. You could not sleep, but you could dream. We are your dreams, girl, and we made your dreams come true. So we hurt her, we broke her, and the fixers had to put her back together again. I never wanted that, did not ever want to hurt her." "I don't want to hurt anybody," Luna gasped. "What about Royal, the king without a crown? Do you not want to hurt him?" or the Earth Mother, who slaughters muggles in the Ministry of Magic. And you Alpha Roach Iota Alpha crooned with a broken voice. Luna looked away, and the Nargles cackled. Heed these words, Moonchild. The past shall reprise as another shall demise only through great sacrifice. Shall the world become paradise? Luna closed her ears and started humming to herself. She liked to hum. It left her brain feeling nice and fuzzy. Yet the voice still came through, like water through a crack. Only through sacrifice shall the gift be given, only through death shall life be forgiven. Leave me alone. Luna shouted weakly. You knew what you were getting into the moment you heard these prophecies. You heard but did not listen. Your ambition blinded you, girl. I don't want to do this anymore, Luna cried, tears running down her cheeks. I just want to go home. I just want to see my father again. It's too late to stop now. You've gone too far. Things have been set in motion that can't be undone. If you were to stop, they would have all died for nothing. Phileas, Pandora, Rita, even Corna. Luna looked defeated as she fell to her knees and buried her face in her small hands. You are right. Of course you're right. We've gone too far. We can't stop now, can we? Of course not. The Nargles giggled like maniacs, waking Luna from her trance. Luna Nargles' cackling continued even as Luna tried placing silencing charms throughout the room, yet their mocking laughs echoed throughout the LLR. Yet only Luna heard them, Luna and the young man, shaking as the Nargles entered his mind. Luna could see it, the way they seemed to turn into air and flow into the cavities of Harry's head, the nostrils, ears, and mouth. Luna started shaking him, screaming, "Leave him alone! Leave him alone!" Ginny, listen to me, Harry pleaded. No, Harry, you listen to me, Ginny shouted. There are people out there who need you. No, they need the boy who lived, Voldemort's bane. They don't want me, Harry spat back. You are the boy who lived, Ginny screamed in frustration. Harry's green eyes looked black as he glared at the woman he thought he loved. Ginny, of all people. Ginny refused to back down. Listen to me, Harry. I know how you feel about the fame and notoriety, but it's never going to go away. You may wish you were normal, but you are not. You are special, Harry. Everyone can see it. Why can't you? Is it so terrible for you to be extraordinary? I love you, Harry, for everything you are. I love you for what makes you normal and amazing. You loved me before you even met me. I remember you at the Hogwarts Express yelling, Mummy, Mummy, can I see him? Harry mocked. Ginny's eyes hardened. I was 10. I lost family members I will never get to meet because of Tom Riddle. Before I met you, you were my hero because I wouldn't have a mother if it wasn't for you. Since I met you, you saved my life, my brother's life, my father's life. I love you for being my hero, but also for being who you are. Why can't you love yourself? Why can't you accept the fact that you are a hero now? Harry turned away, his voice choked. If I was a hero, Fred would still be alive. If I was a hero, George would be inventing pranks with his brother. Remus and Tonks would be raising their child. Lavender would still be fawning over Ron. Carlin would still be after my picture, while Nigel would be after my autograph. Dumbledore would be offering students lemon drops. Sirius would be calling me James. Cedric would be with his father. Ginny sighed. Harry, you can't save everyone. Because I'm not special, Harry cried. I'm lucky to be alive. I still see their faces. Every time I look at someone, I see their cold, dead body in my mind. I'm not the chosen one anymore. Even if I wanted to be, I just don't have it in me anymore. I'm just Harry now. Ginny shook her head slowly as she whispered. The Harry I love would never quit. The person I love would, Harry felt gutted as he hissed. The person you love doesn't exist. Do you understand, Ginny? Finally, I thought I loved you, but I don't even know you anymore. I thought you loved me. The pity in Ginny's eyes told more than her words ever could. Harry, you are the most loving person I have ever met, but you don't know how to love. You don't even love yourself. How could you ever love me? Harry stormed out of the burrow with haste and anger in his heart. He felt cold out in the summer night, but refused to let his mind wander, focusing on the pain from Ginny's words and not the pain in her eyes. He could not escape his own thoughts as confusion consumed him. He thought he would die for her, Yet he knew in his heart how wrong he was. The more he thought about it, the truth began to sink into his heart, and he let out a bitter laugh. Ever since he had returned to the burrow following Fred Weasley's funeral, he could not escape the thought that Ginny only cared for the boy who lived and did not know him at all. It was at this moment that Harry realized he had it wrong. It was true that Ginny saw him as the boy who lived, Voldemort's Bane, and many other stupid titles that hung around his neck. What did Harry see in Ginny? Love. No, he had seen an image, someone he could love, fight, and die for. But did he love her? Harry realized his words were true. He didn't know her. Not really. He knew she liked Quidditch, she was a prankster, and she wore her emotions on her sleeve. Harry knew that this wasn't right, and he felt the guilt flood his veins as he realized how he had used her, the very way he accused her of using him. It was this that made him laugh. He knew he couldn't go back, at least not now. He was certain their relationship was over. He alone would not forget the heated, red words that cut him. He would be heading to Hogwarts soon, might as well go there. He thought of his new position as defense against the dark arts professor and felt his blood begin to rush with excitement. He was thrilled to have a purpose again. He was thrilled to have a normal life again. He was thrilled to be able to say that, at least by wizarding standards, just Harry was absolutely normal. Thank you very much. Harry was startled by the sound of laughter, and he turned to see the three horrid faces. Also, there were three fingers pointing at him, two fat fingers and one abnormally long and skinny, just like their wretched faces. Normal. You are the most abnormal person on this earth. Uncle Vernon shouted at him. The voice did not belong to his uncle, yet tugged at Harry's memory. Liar! Harry shouted back with venom, as the Dursleys cackled like pixies. Yes, you are right. There is the loony girl, a match made in heaven. Dudley spoke with more wit than Harry remembered. Leave her alone. Harry raised his wand at them only to see they had all changed. All of them were a pale green and had blood leaking from their ears. They were completely shaved and their eyes held no life. We were right about you, Harry Potter, his uncle croaked. If you were normal, we would be alive. If Loony was normal, she would be safe. I am normal, Harry lied through his anger. Then normal you shall be. Harry saw death appear before them and watched his former family fall to the blade. Harry raised his wand only to see it disintegrate before his eyes. He saw the faces of those long dead. He saw the faces that haunted his nights. He saw their pale, lifeless eyes as death took them from him, and he felt utterly helpless to stop it. If you weren't special, I'd be dead. He saw Ginny cry before she too was taken. Then he saw another figure, and his heart stopped beating. Freak and proud, Luna whispered calmly, as death raised its blade to take her too. No, Harry screamed as he sprinted towards her as the scythe came down. Wasn't sure if it hit Luna or himself, for it was at that moment when he felt someone shaking him awake. Harry, wake up. It's just a nightmare, it's just a nightmare. Luna's voice was full of worry. Harry didn't think. He just pulled Luna into his arms and kissed her, trying to pour his soul into that kiss. Harry didn't remember starting to cry. He honestly could not remember the last time he cried. At least not like this. He just held onto Luna and cried as she blew gently into his ear and hummed a haunting melody. Harry gasped. I didn't want anyone to die for me. I still see their faces in my dreams. I thought it was over. I thought the deaths would stop. Now my uncle is dead and it's my fault. They were right about me. They were all better off without me. It's my fault. Luna shushed him as he rocked back and forth, and Harry felt like a babe in her arms. Luna hummed soothingly, if they were better off without you, it is because they never got to know and love you like I have. Harry felt himself calm as he was comforted in Luna's arms. Harry vaguely realized this was the first time in his life he felt anything like this. Someone to hold him as he let go of his grief, guilt, and pain, which had become such dominant part of his life. He realized in that moment how much he had come to depend on Luna, how much he loved her. It terrified him. Luna, Harry whispered as he looked up into her eyes. Luna, promise me something. Luna's silver eyes met his own as she hummed. What is it, Harry? Promise me you won't ever leave me. Promise me you won't. You won't." Harry couldn't finish. The thought was too terrible to think of. Luna seemed to understand. She kissed the top of his head and sang a lullaby. Harry didn't know the song, but soon he felt Luna lower him back to the bed, and as she hugged herself against him, Harry vowed to himself that he would always love Luna and would walk through fire if it kept her safe. It was only when he was asleep that Luna allowed herself to cry. Chapter 35. The Red in the White. They were being watched. Harry could feel a buzz of nervous energy. He could smell the sweat of fear, even as the snow continued to fall. The curious witches and wizards of Hogsmeade had slowly surrounded the podium. Hanging above the podium was a banner that said, LLR. Before too long, the streets were full of more of the magical village's residents. As the news spread, the streets were packed with LLR supporters and curious onlookers. Harry was certain the Totalitter were among the crowd. Hermione had been relying on a large crowd, confident that the Totalitter would not do something drastic in front of so many witnesses and bystanders. Harry prayed to Merlin she was right, for Luna's sake. It had been a week since his uncle's death, and the mood at LLR headquarters had been somber, as Luna set into motion her audacious plan. What really worried Harry, however, was how little planning actually went into said plan. To him, it was an impulse, and though he liked what Luna wanted to do, he feared the execution would be fatal. The people had been gathering for over 3 hours, but it had merely taken just one before the vultures came out. Suspicious-looking wizards with snake eyes and slippery tongs wooed the gullible into purchasing their suspect products. Earwig earrings. Get your earwig earrings. Only 3 galleons. Buy 3 and you get a priceless earwig nose ring for free. Wart stew. Step right up and try some fresh wart stew, a cheap, easy way to ensnare the warthog of your dreams. Step right up and get yourself a barnified, mardified, stupefied, mummified ruby necklace, now on sale for only 10 galleons. Charm to help you resist the lure of Vela, succubus, and milk chocolate. If you're not the necklace-wearing type, just tap it with your wand and you have a bracelet. Tap it again and you have a ring. One more time and it's a bandana. Get your very own broomstick, just like the Muggles use. They can't fly, but no broom collection is complete without it. Do not try flying it, you will die. Step right up for the autobiography of the year, Living Up to One's Name by Cornelius Fudge. A wonderful read. I'm sorry I can't do this. It's so awful, just awful. Harry could see the necklace ring bracelet bandana had caught on, and somehow so did the Muggle broom. No one touched the wart stew at all, though to Harry's delight the earwig earrings outsold the Fudge's autobiography. In modest disguise, Harry and the rest of the LL integrated themselves among the crowd, waiting for Luna to appear on the podium. What the increasing impatient mob didn't know was that Luna Lovegood would not appear on the podium. She was already there. Hidden under Harry's invisibility cloak, Luna was sitting in silence as hundreds of witches and wizards surrounded her, waiting for whatever was going to happen. Luna struggled hard to breath as she suddenly felt a crippling wave of claustrophobia. Luna blamed this on the large concentration of Raxperts among the crowd. Luna would have laughed if she wasn't keeping silent and struggling to breath. She had far worse things to worry about than Raxperts or claustrophobia, like stage fright, messing up her speech, getting captured by Totalitter, getting killed by Totalitter, getting tortured by Totalitter, while everyone is massacred by Dementors and Humdingers and... On second thought, this train of thought was not helping. Luna decided to go back to being claustrophobic while she mentally repeated the mantra that Harry had drilled into her for the last week. I'll be absolutely still, make no noise, and pretend that I don't exist. But Harry, I like existing, Luna complained with a frown on her face. Then you better pretend well, or you won't be pretending at all. Harry spoke in the solid, confident voice he had used while teaching, yet his eyes gave away the anxiety that plagued him. Luna heard the sound of rockets going off and knew it was time. Luna held her breath and counted to 3. Suddenly the sky lit up in flames. as fireworks seemed to turn the sky yellow and green. At first the crowd looked in wonder at the light show, then towards Weasley's wizard wheezes, thinking that the prank store had wanted in on the fun. More observant noticed the trail of smoke coming from the prank store's chimney, a chimney that had not been there 5 minutes ago. Then it happened at once. Everyone looked at the podium and saw her standing there, Harry's cloak hidden in her robes. Luna looked around at what must have been over 1,000 faces and felt a strong urge to urinate. Harry was right. This was a terrible idea. Luna opened her mouth to speak, but choked on air. Luckily, her silence was drowned out as the crowd erupted in noise, gasping, pointing, and simply speaking to each other, their eyes never leaving Luna. Started to speak louder, but then realized she had forgotten to cast a simple, sonorous charm. After she then spoke and uttered the first word she could think of. Luna blushed and tried again. Her face was red and her hands were white. Hello, that's better, Luna told herself happily, unaware that she said that out loud. She took a deep breath and calmed herself. Her eyes met Harry's nervous ones and felt strength fill her. If Harry can do this, then so can I. Harry had never done this. He had never directly spoken to a group of people larger than Gryffindor House, and even without the threat of the Totalitter, wouldn't be caught dead in Luna's place. However, in this moment, ignorance was indeed bliss for Luna as she spoke to the crowd. My name is Luna Lovegood, and I was born a squib. Luna's eyes were briefly blinded by a bright flash of light, but they cleared quickly enough to see a reporter with a rather oversized camera. She continued as she blinked. I see a lot of people here. I'm certain most of, if not all of you, can perform magic. I'm also certain that all of you know someone who is a squib. How many of you have actually imagined living without magic? Many say it is a fate worse than death. I disagree. Muggles live without magic, and there are billions of them. I lived without magic, and it wasn't that bad. Luna's voice had started to shake near the end, but again she calmed herself. Squibs have it far worse than muggles, who know nothing of our world. Squibs like me are born into it. Squibs exist in the wizarding world, but we are not a part of it. We are outcasts, we are the ostracized, and we don't belong anywhere. That is the fate worse than death. Squibs can join the muggles. A member of the crowd heckled, igniting laughter and drawing glares. Luna seemed shaken as she was assaulted with images of Totalitter. Luna's voice gave out as her eyes widened. Harry followed her gaze and felt his own do the same. Luna struggled to hold back the tears as she saw her father among the crowd. Xenophilius had his quick quill writing furiously, but he seemed unaware of it. His eyes only focused on the woman who had once been his daughter. In many ways she still was, yet he could hardly recognize her. He was terrified when she had first appeared on that stage, but thoughts of fear had since fled his mind. Both Lovegoods had tears in their eyes. After so long apart, just the simple act of looking into each other's eyes was overwhelming. After what felt like minutes but was only 5 seconds, Xenophilius nodded his head eagerly while he mouthed encouragements to Luna. She nodded as well, as a smile rose on her face before her eyes focused. She blinked twice and responded to the heckler. Most squibs do join the muggles, but they have to hide a large part of themselves. They can never speak honestly of their childhood to even their closest friends or even their soul mate. They are most often abandoned by their own family, some as soon as they are born. You likely have a squib in your family and do not even know it. After all, a squib is an embarrassment for any wizarding family, so it is best to pretend that they don't exist. Luna said, with more confidence, her words now carrying a more biting tone. Many of the wizards surrounding Luna now looked less than pleased, her words hitting too close to home for too many of them. Those who did not feel shame looked at her darkly. Harry noticed those looks and felt his skin grow cold, and it had nothing to do with the freezing snow. You hate squibs because they are muggles. You hate muggles because they are different. You hate those who are different because you are told to hate them. Just last week, the new Minister of Magic had a muggle executed on the ministry floor. I was there when Miss Grimhilda implied that muggles had no souls. This is a lie, Luna said, harshly transforming as she spoke from timid girl to powerful woman before their eyes. Harry had subtly moved his way through the crowd until he was able to tap Xenophilius on the shoulder. The eccentric wizard let out a girlish yelp before his eyes met with Harry's. "Oh, hello, Mr. Potter." Zeno's eyes returned to Luna and Harry did the same. Harry whispered out of the corner of his mouth, "Are you scared?" Xenophilius grunted. "Terrified, and you?" I remember once saying, I would rather fight another dragon than ask a girl out to the Yule Ball. I was such a wimp back then. You were far braver than I ever was. You have only grown stronger since then. I think she is the bravest of us all, Xenophilius whispered wisely. Harry nodded wordlessly as Luna continued to speak. The Ministry of Magic is not your friend. They don't want to help or protect you. They wish to control you through fear. Whether you side with the totaliter agenda or not, you fear them. People like them feed off your fear. They manipulate your anger and focus your hatred on the innocent. You blame muggles and muggleborns for your woes, but the only person you can blame is yourselves. I hardly recognize her, Harry, Xenophilius muttered hoarsely under his breath. She has changed so much. She is so different now. Are you sure that's my daughter? She's not a girl any more, mister. Lovegood, Harry replied as his eyes raked through the crowd. Xenophilius nodded. I have never been more proud of my daughter. She may have grown up, but she's still by little Luna. It is your fault the wizarding world is collapsing. It is your fault that war continues to plague our world. It is your fault that the totaliter have you shaking in your boots. You let this happen. In your hatred and anger, you gave the power of your beaters the power to control you. Now it's too late. You can't undo what has been done. But now is not the time for regrets. We have left the wizarding world in the hands of very dangerous people, and we are reaping what we've sown. Luna's voice rang out over the crowd as the snow continued to fall. It was growing into a blizzard, yet Luna persisted. So focused in her speech, she did not even cast a warming charm. Freezing in the snow, she spoke. Harry noticed Luna move her fingers in a certain direction and looked to where she pointed. Harry cussed under his breath, which regained Zeno's attention. What? What is it, Harry? Totaliter. The totaliter were also dispersed among the crowd. They stood out in their uniforms of white, green, and red. Those in the crowd who noticed them looked far from thrilled. Most were as pale as the falling snow. Xenophilius seemed to be the most scared of them all. Oh, Merlin. Calm down, Zeno, Harry replied nervously. They won't try anything with so many witnesses. Do you trust them not to? Xenophilius asked, his voice higher than normal. No, Harry cursed as he raised his wand to his mouth and whispered. You see them, Hermione? Harry heard a whisper in his ear. I see them. I got members focused on all of them, but I don't like this. They aren't disillusioned. They want to be seen. They could just want to intimidate them. Harry argued half-heartedly, seeing the affect the totaliter were having on the crowd. Harry could almost hear Hermione shake her head. Unlikely. I don't see the point. They already live with the totaliter hanging over their head. They are here to do something, and yet they are visible. Well, they are going to try something. Bloody hell, they had my uncle killed in front of a crowd. Why not Luna? Harry yelled into his wand. You think they cried over your uncle after the way he treated their savior? Luna's different. Lots of people love her. For the totaliter to attack her directly would be unforgivable. There would be rioting in the streets, Hermione replied in lecture mode. Then what? Wait, unforgivable, Harry whispered thoughtfully as he looked around the crowd. Hermione, I think we have a problem. What is it? Luna continued, ignoring the fear that shook her body. We were given a second chance with Riddle's demise, and we have spit in the face of redemption. We will not get another chance. Too long has the wizarding world refused to adapt. Too long have we allowed evil hatred and bigotry into our hearts, our minds, and the schools that raise our children. A school that has seen blood spilt in its hallowed halls for far too long. We are told to accept the things we cannot change, but we cannot accept evil. Harry started rushing through the crowd, trying to reach Luna. He was knocking people over, but he wasn't going fast enough. He started shouting at Luna, but she could not hear her. Luna, behind you. We can't just fight and you can't simply win. You have to change. You all have to change. You must let go of your hatred and your bigotry. The fate of the wizarding world may come down to this. We must stand up to those who desire our power. We must fight back while we still have something to fight for. I know it is scary to take chances, to face danger instead of running, to stand out when you desire to be unseen. But this is about freedom. Freedom is worth fighting for, and it's worth dying for. I can't reach her, Harry. We've run into trouble. Hermione's voice yelled in his ear. Luna, Harry shouted desperately, if we don't learn to stand up in the face of injustice and embrace those who are different, the Totalitter will destroy us all. Harry felt someone grab his arm and whirled a fist at the stranger. He saw other members rushing towards him and aimed his wand at their glazed eyes. He looked at Luna and saw he was too late. Luna, Harry screamed. If we don't fight for our freedom, we will die slaves. Luna cried out as she saw a little girl climbing onto the platform. Luna smiled with a hint of confusion. Hello there, you shouldn't be up here. The girl smiled as she raised her head. Luna spoke softly. You have a pretty necklace, and it matches your eyes. Luna blinked twice as she felt a sharp pain in her stomach. Luna reached for her stomach, and as she raised her hand back to her face, she saw it was red. Luna noticed things were surprisingly slow as she looked into the vacant eyes of the child. Luna realized somewhere in the back of her mind that she was going to die. Then everything sped up. The girl slashed again with her bloody knife, but before it could reach her, Luna felt someone viciously tackle her off the podium. If the tackle didn't knock the wind out of her, falling 5 feet onto her back, with the tackler landing on her chest, certainly did. Luna then remembered the real reason why she was winded, and the pain hit her. Harry was already on his knees when the child jumped on top of him with a horrible shriek. The girl pressed a knife to Harry's throat with unnatural strength as Harry struggled to hold her off. Harry quickly grabbed the girl's necklace and ripped it off her, and the little girl dropped the knife and started to cry. Harry looked around and saw Luna whimpering in the red snow. Harry rushed over and picked her up. By this point, Harry and Luna were surrounded by the LLR, and the spells had started flying. The LLR deflected most of the curses heading towards Luna, but Harry had to dodge his fair share that slipped through the cracks. Don't worry, Luna, I got you, Harry whispered to Luna as she grimaced in pain. What happened? Luna muttered weakly. The Totalitter started a riot, and now they get to stop it. Harry growled with anger. Harry saw Xenophilius making his way to them, ducking and dodging curses as most of the crowd had begun to flee. The circle of LLR members was already growing smaller as the glazed-eyed witches and wizards turned up the pressure. Luna's hurt. We need to get to shelter. Harry yelled over the sounds of shouting and cursing as Xenophilius reached him. Xenophilius paled but raised his wand with determination. I'll apparate with her to shelter. And bloody splinch her in half, Harry shouted. She's too injured to apparate. We need to get these two to George's store. On foot. Harry, we don't have time. Luna is going to bloody die. Xenophilius screamed in a panic. Luna isn't going to bloody die, Harry yelled, though he felt his heart beating faster. What if the knife is poisoned? Harry, Luna whimpered weakly. What Luna? Harry gasped as he felt panic consume him. Only Luna didn't seem frightened, she seemed calm. Say the magic words, voices whispered softly as Luna closed her eyes and let her mind wander. Luna spoke. Imaginatio potestatum. What? Oh, Godric, she's going into shock. Oh, Merlin, oh. Zeno, shut the bloody hell up. Harry cursed as he tightened his hold of Luna. Xenophilius, grab the girl and jump. Xenophilius did as he was told while Harry yelled. Follow me, and for Godric's sake, don't drop the girl. What are you? Oh, Merlin's balls, Zeno cried out as he started to levitate, nearly dropping the girl in his arms. Harry took off as well, with Luna in his arms. Xenophilius thought he looked like a hero from the wizarding comic called Super Muggle, which Pandora had insisted was a rip-off of some Muggle comic. Harry and Xenophilius flew over the fighting towards the joke shop. The Totalitter were fighting viciously against the overwhelmed LLR. There was only 10 Totalitter, but they weren't the ones causing the trouble. Many of the witches in the crowd had started fighting with the LLR. There were quite a few men as well. They all wore the same ruby necklace. "Where's my mummy?" the little girl in Zeno's arms cried out. "What's your name?" Xenophilius asked, trying to keep his mind off the sight of his daughter bleeding. "Kara," the girl whispered softly. "That's a pretty name." "Shit," Xenophilius screamed as he dodged a curse. "Sorry, we'll talk later. Don't worry, we'll find your mum." Harry shot a spell at the joke shop door, and a voice rang loudly through the streets. "If your ears are bleeding, then you know that Weasley's Wizard Wheezes is closed." "Why?" "Because I said it was." The door opened, and George Weasley waved them in. Harry and Xenophilius shot through the door like the devil was on their tails as dozens of curses hit the now closed door. Harry had Luna lying on George's desk, knocking its contents to the floor. Harry turned and yelled out, "What the fuck was that, George? Some kind of joke?" "Well, yeah, it is a joke shop, but I forgot to turn it off," George stuttered, looking like his mother caught him turning Percy's hair green, which had indeed happened. "Everyone in Hogsmeade must have heard your hilarious joke. It's going to be bloody hard to escape now. They all must know we are here, and if you think the Totalitter aren't putting up anti-apparition wards, you're mad," Harry cursed. "Now look after Kara here, Luna's hurt." "Luna's hurt," George yelled out. "Not fatally." Xenophilius audibly sighed with relief as he looked at Luna's wound. "I mean, it's treatable. Knife did a number on her stomach, but it's nothing a good healer can't fix." "We don't have a healer," Harry moaned as he ran over to Luna. "You have a damn good one, actually," Xenophilius muttered, whiling casting charms. Luna winced in pain but made no noise. "What do you think I was doing after Pandora died? The Quibbler doesn't exactly make money, and it cost a fortune for Luna to stay in St. Mungo's as long as she did. So I just lived there and worked for a year." "They just let you work as a healer, without training?" Harry asked incredulously. "No," Xenophilius admitted as he worked. "I cleaned the place, but I got the gist of how it's done." Harry found himself feeling light-headed as he sat on the floor. "She's going to die. She's not going to die. She is going to die. She is not." "Harry," Luna muttered, sounding stronger already as she reached for Harry's hand. Harry took it as he looked into her eyes. Luna whispered, "I'm not leaving you, remember." "Damn right," Xenophilius gasped as he continued swishing his wand around like a lunatic. "What happened?" Luna asked as she flinched from the pain. Harry squeezed her hand tighter as he spoke. "Necklaces. Their merchants were selling necklaces." "I should have realized that was strange. I assumed they were fake, but it acted like an imperious curse. They come in other forms, so you can bet it isn't just witches that have been bewitched." "Aye, there we go," Xenophilius grunted as he gave a final swish and flick of his wand. "Good as new. Frankly, if they wanted you dead, they would not have used a muggle knife. It wasn't even poisoned." Luna slowly got off the table and hugged Harry. Xenophilius looked on with fondness. "Just don't do any strenuous activities for a week or so, and you will be right as rain." "Oomph!" Xenophilius was knocked back as his daughter lunged into his arms and tried to crush his ribs. "Easy there, child. I'm not as young as I used to be, and I just said no strenuous activities." Despite his scolding, the old wizard was hugging Luna with all the strength he could muster, struggling not to burst into tears on the spot. The tender moment was ended by a curse blasting a hole through the wall. The hole was no bigger than a quaffle, but through it Harry could see the fighting had gotten ugly. "George, keep the girl here and keep her safe." "Xenophilius, get Luna to safety. I have to go out there," Harry said with determination. Xenophilius nodded. "I'll meet you at my place. No one will suspect her to go there." "Are you mad?" Harry exclaimed, looking at Xenophilius like he just grew a horns. "Maybe, however, in this situation, the status of my sanity is quite irrelevant. It is too obvious of a place to look. I have been searched once since you both vanished from Hogwarts, and that was a full week later. The Rook is also heavily warded now, so the place," should last us the night. Zeno trailed off as Luna broke free of his grip and ran right out the front door. Bugger! Bugger indeed, Harry muttered before chasing after her, not quite avoiding a blast of bright green fire. Harry felt his eyebrow start to burn when freezing water splashed his face. Harry opened his eyes and caught a glimpse of Ron before ducking under a vicious entrails-expelling curse. Harry heard a blood-curdling scream from behind him, but continued moving forward, desperately trying to catch sight of Luna or her blonde hair. It was complete and utter bedlam. Harry couldn't tell up from left, down from right, or friend from foe. Harry could hardly see through the combination of bright spells being cast and the blinding white of the blizzard. Harry had to shield his eyes as he made his way through the skirmish. Harry noticed a totalitter and assumed correctly he was foe and sent a cutting charm at his arm. The totalitter reflected the curse back at Harry, who felt his hair shorten. Before he could react, the totalitter quickly flew up into the air before plummeting to the earth, repetitively, like a twisted yo-yo. Harry smelt smoke and realized his robe was on fire and quickly threw it off him. Harry heard a strange, high-pitched humming growing louder and felt his nose break under the impact of a bludgeoning curse. Harry was thrown into the air and landed on an elderly wizard. As Harry rolled off him with haste, the old man suddenly slashed at Harry's leg, and Harry punched him in the face without thinking. He really hoped the old man was all right as he removed the ruby ring from his frail finger. Quickly, it became apparent his nose was not all that was broken. His glasses were cracked and snapped in two, and Harry had to hold them together as he blindly sprinted into the crossfire. Harry's vision may have been blurred, but he recognized the brown, bushy hair that could only belong to Hermione. Harry stumbled towards her as she fought a bewitched married couple and a totalitter. She was holding her own, but failed to notice another wizard approaching her from behind, with his wand aimed at her neck. Harry lunged at the attacking wizard and wrestled him away from Hermione. Harry got on his back and jabbed his wand into the wizard's neck. At least that was the plan. Unfortunately, the wand was a quarter of the way up the now moaning man's nose. Not again, Harry grimaced as he struggled to pull his wand out of the snotty orifice. With a final gut-wrenching yank and a loud sticky pop, the wand was free, and Harry landed on his ass. You know there are better ways to rescue me than sticking wands up noses, Hermione quipped as she continued to deflect curses from the enemy. Picky, picky, be glad I saved your life at all, Harry responded as he hit a bewitched woman with a low-energy defindo, cutting her necklace in two. Her eyes focused as he ripped the ruby ring off her husband's finger. They both fled as the totalitter conjured a tiger out of thin air. The beast roared as it tried to kill the totalitter, none too happy about being conjured into a blizzard. Stupid wizards, non-magical animals are only harder to control, Hermione muttered to herself. Really? Harry grunted in surprise as he deflected an errant curse from a nearby LLR member. Hermione explained in student mode, despite nearly getting hit by a blast of fire. Magical creatures tend to be more sentient than their non-magical brethren. Without the influence of wizards or magic, non-magical creatures tend to be too stupid to tame. The tiger, which had been busy trying to rip the totalitter's mask from his face, jerked its head violently towards Harry and Hermione. The look in the tiger's eyes was not friendly. I think he heard you, Harry muttered, and the tiger growled, seemingly seething. Harry, it's a she, Hermione corrected, her face pale white. The tiger roared as it charged at Harry. The beast was upon him when Harry lunged to the ground, his face buried in the freezing snow. Harry rolled onto his back and could smell the tiger's breath on his face. Harry decided not to open his eyes, knowing if he did, he would start screaming and would not stop until the king of all cats silenced him permanently. Hermione panicked and started hitting the tiger with stinging hexes, succeeding in getting the tiger's attention. Unfortunately, the tiger's attention involved chasing Hermione through the crossfire as she tried to hex the beast. Harry saw the tiger chasing Hermione and went to keep up when he was knocked back into the snow. Harry looked to see a totalitter stand over him, its faceless mask stained with blood. "Come quietly, mister Potter, or we will take you by force." The totalitter spoke with authority, his deep voice muffled from behind the mask. "Sorry, can you repeat that?" Harry feigned ignorance as he started to get up anyway. The totalitter raised his wand above his head, but whatever curse he was going to cast would remain uncast. When he brought his arm down, the wand was missing from his hand. The totalitter quickly turned around and looked at a small, blonde girl holding his wand. Luna looked at the wand inquisitively, and with a random swish and flick, the totalitter dropped unconscious. "How curious!" "Luna!" Harry shouted as he rose to his feet. "What are you doing out here? You can't be here. You can barely use magic." "I used magic on him. Of course I was trying to levitate him. I think I gave him a concussion," Luna said, looking at the twitching totalitter. "Never mind him," Harry said, attempting to lead Luna away from the fighting. "You can't help here. You're only going to get yourself killed." "I'm not abandoning them," Luna snapped sharply. "This is my fault, Harry. We underestimated the totalitter, and now people are getting hurt." Xenophilius could be seen running like his life depended on it. The tiger chasing him agreed with his assessment. Luna bolted after the tiger, and Harry chased all three while saying words unfit for Narn-Noggles. Luna lunged and grabbed onto the tiger's tail. The beast tiger started spinning in circles, chasing Luna, who now airborne was holding onto the tail with all her strength. "Bad cat! Bad cat! Bad cat!" Zeno screamed as he tried to curse the tiger. Harry got as close as he could to the beast and slashed at the tiger with cry of "Defindo!" Luna flew through the air with a severed tail in her hand. Harry waved his wand and slowed down her fall, allowing himself to catch her. Luna blinked and looked at the tail in her hand. "Did you have to cut off its tail?" Harry couldn't help the laugh that coughed out of him. "Better its tail than your neck." Luna dropped the tail as she spoke. "It's just an animal." "Look out!" Xenophilius cried out. Harry and Luna looked up to see the tiger charging at them with murder in its eyes. Harry raised his wand with a spell on his lips when the great cat slashed at Luna. Harry yanked Luna out of the way and watched in horror as his wand dropped to the ground. The beast roared as it pounced on Harry and Luna, the two magicals clinging together, eyes closed as the cat landed upon them. The tiger didn't weigh as much as Luna expected, nor did it hurt as much as Harry anticipated. They both opened their eyes and looked at the adorable kitten trying to scratch its way through Harry's shirt. "Akio, kitten," a voice said, and the kitten let out a startled meow as it zoomed into Ron's hands. "Ron!" Harry gasped as Xenophilius helped them to their feet. Harry looked at the kitten and hit himself on the head. "Why didn't I think of that? All these years, and you still think like a muggle." Ron laughed before he paled. "Oh, bugger." Harry and Luna turned and saw a great monstrous fiendfire heading towards them, burning everything in its all-consuming path. Xenophilius shouted over the fighting, "Run!" The two wizards ran after him with haste. However, when Harry looked to Luna, he realized she had remained where she was, staring down the cursed flames. Luna did not move or even flinch as she stared into the flames. The fire was a hair's breadth away, but did it seem perplexed by Luna's lack of fear. Luna, undeterred, spoke in a loud voice. "My father was right. If you wanted me dead, I would be dead already." The fiendfire screamed an unnatural scream, breathing smoke into Luna's face. Luna struggled to hold in her cough, but refused to show weakness in the eye of the storm. "Clever girl," a voice shouted with mock enthusiasm as the flames were sucked back into the wand that conjured it. "You got a smart squib there, Potter. You must be so proud of your training." The figure approaching Luna was a familiar one. He seemed even worse off than he had at the Golden Swamp. His face was still scarred and missing teeth. His hair, however, was now completely grey and falling out of his balding head. His face was a light shade of green, and his arms were so frail, you would believe they belonged to a dead man. The lifeless look in his eyes helped confirm that theory, but the way he strutted towards them and whistled, you would think he was as healthy as the day he was born. "So, are you going to give your pet a treat?" The man laughed a deranged, wheezing laugh. You again, Harry growled as he ran to Luna's side. The scarred man laughed. Or is it you who is the pet? You were a slave to muggles as a child, and now one has enslaved you once more. Shut up, Harry and Luna shouted at the same time. How cute! The man laughed as he raised his wand and shot a reductor at the ground they stood on. Harry reflected it back at the scarred man who simply dodged, letting the spell smash into one of the stores. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. You had it all, Potter. You were a hero and a legend. You would have been great. You could have been the minister of magic. Now you are nothing. A hero for a day, now a king without a crown. You gave it all up for a mudblood's love. I hope it was worth it. Sectum sempra, Harry shouted as the curse hit the man's arm. He merely looked at the arm and shrugged as the snow around him turned red. Not going to lie, that hurt me, Potter. The scarred man grunted as he pointed to Luna. She hurt me worse. She hurt me worse than your spells ever could, Harry Potter. She will hurt you too when she leaves you. Mudbloods are all the same. They are weak. They fear us and hate us. It can feel your pureness and it will loathe you for it. It will leave you as one left me. The muggles love nothing, not even their children. Luna looked at the scarred man and asked, Who are you? Donovan's me name. The man answered, exaggerating his Irish accent as he smiled his toothless grin. I don't think you give a damn about me name. I believe you want a different answer. Well, frankly, I have a question of my own to ask of ye. Donovan glared at Luna, and for the first time there was emotion in his eyes, the emotion of hatred. How many students did you rescue, Squib? I was told you saved hundreds. You know, they all loved you for that. They even called you a hero. A hero? How about the students you didn't save, huh? How many lives did you fail? I was told they took you out of that room with blood on your robe, his blood. I understand not saving the Malfoy boy. He tried to kill you. He was a Death Eater. The little shit deserved what he got. But what about my boy? He saved your worthless life. Donovan screamed, his voice hoarse with rage. Luna whispered, Michael. I tried to warn him about scum like you. I tried to warn him, but he believed that helping your kind was the right thing to do. He hated your kind and saw your weakness, but he still wanted to help you. You stabbed my son in the back, Mr. Corner growled with tears of rage and pain. I tried to save him, Luna cried out. He was too close. I wasn't strong enough. Harry stepped in front of Luna. Your son died because he was egged on by Malfoy. He died because he hated. He died because you taught him to hate. He destroyed himself. He died because he dared to reveal your disgusting secret. Donovan shouted. It was bad enough that mudbloods infest Hogwarts. That you were let into Hogwarts filled me with a strong urge to vomit. I helped my son expose you as a squib, and you killed him. How would you know that? Harry growled as he raised his wand threateningly. I was an unspeakable until they found out what I did. I found a loophole and gave out information without breaking my unbreakable vow. Of course they found out and made me wish that I hadn't. They still punish me, but I no longer know pain. Donovan grinned as he happily spoke. So this is what's going to happen. I'm going to take the thing to the ministry, and I'm going to kill you. Then I will destroy everyone you saved the day you failed my son, and then I will die with them. No more pain, no more guilt, no more grief, only justice for all. Avada Kedavra. Harry ducked the killing curse and cried out. Expelliarmus. Corner's wand flew out of his hand. Harry grinned as he shouted Petrificus Totalis. The spell flew at the unmoving Donovan before it froze. The scarred man grinned as he raised his bare hand at Luna. The spell hit Luna, who stiffened and fell into the snow. Harry went to revive her, but felt his wand flying out of his hand and into the hand of Donovan. Things have changed, Potter. With a wave of his hand, Harry felt himself freeze. He could not move. Donovan laughed as he strolled forward, ignoring a misfired spell that nearly took off his head. True power is not limited to squibs. It is there for the taking if you are willing to pay the price. He stood over Luna's frozen body and stared into her moving eyes. He knelt by her side and raised his left hand over her eyes and whispered, No price is too high for the man who has nothing to lose, and believe me, I paid a hefty price to hear you scream. His hand started to tremor, and Luna closed her eyes tightly. He snapped his right hand, and Luna screamed. Harry could not move, had to move, but his nerves were dead. He felt like a child fighting a mountain. He could not even cry out. He realized with a heart-wrenching throb that helping Luna was impossible. Then it came to him, impossible. Imaginatio potestatum. He whispered the words in his mind and felt Donovan's power leave him. He didn't care that Corner had his wand. He shot at the psychopath like a bullet and kicked the kneeling man in the head. Corner collapsed into the snow unconscious and bleeding from his head. Luna slowly rose to her knees, and Harry wrapped his arms around her. "Are you okay, Luna? Where is my father?" Luna gasped, looking around. The fighting had moved away from them, but they could still see the village on fire. "I don't know, Luna, but we will find him and get the hell out of here," Harry stated as he... Grah! Donovan's animalistic roar was Harry's only hint before he was knocked into the snow with Corner on top of him, strangling him with his thin, long fingers. Harry felt his long, puss-filled nails pierce into the flesh of his neck like they were claws. Luna screamed as she pulled Donovan's hair, tearing it out by the fistful. Donovan hollered in pain, but did not release his grip. Luna then saw Harry's wand on the ground and quickly tried to stun the madman. It didn't work. Donovan screamed as he let go of Harry and plunged his head into the snow, desperately trying to put out the fire Luna had started on his head. Harry coughed and gasped and wiped at the cuts in his neck left by Corner's nails. He whipped his wand at Donovan, but the madman was quicker, rolling away the curse Harry had fired and grabbing his own wand. They both rose to their feet and began firing curses at each other. Harry shouted as he battled his foe. "Luna, find your father and get the hell out of here." "Harry! Damn it, Luna, go!" Harry shouted as the snow blinded him and Donovan, the two firing blind. Luna reluctantly ran away, only the worry for her father dragging her from Harry. Luna took a curse to the face, but luckily it was only a conjunctivitis curse. Her eyes watered with pain as she shoved her way through the crowd until she heard her father's cries, "Luna!" Xenophilius bellowed as he searched through the chaos. "Father!" Luna shouted, unable to see Xenophilius utter the counter curse on her eyes, then putting an arm around her as he led her away from the fighting. Luna noticed and shouted, "Where are we going?" "Home, where you bloody belong," Xenophilius grunted as he stunned a bewitched witch in his way. "We just need to get out of the range from the anti-apparition wards." "We can't leave. What about Harry?" Luna yelled as she struggled in her father's grasp. "He can take care of himself, Luna," Xenophilius yelped as he took a bludgeoning curse to the arm. "That's broken." "No!" Luna screamed as she ripped herself free from her father, though, by the way he was staring at her, he might have just let her go. "What did you say?" Xenophilius uttered, dumbstruck, for the first time unaware that he was in the middle of a war zone. "I'm not leaving Harry," Luna shouted. "I am never leaving Harry." Xenophilius just looked at her, then muttered, "Bloody hell, fine, we'll get Harry, then we leave." Harry was bleeding from a gash on his forehead, but Donovan seemed worse off, likely due to the man's lack of interest in defending himself. He seemed less green and more purple as he struggled for breath. He fired another curse at Harry, but it missed by a mile. Harry spoke. "You've had enough, Corner." Donovan nodded as he spit blood onto the snow. "I know, but you haven't. Tell me what you know about Grimhilda, and I'll let you live," Harry threatened. "You think I give a fuck if I die?" Donovan bellowed and sent another missed curse at Harry. "If I didn't give Michael the documents on your beloved squib, he would still be alive. I killed my son as much as you, your squib, and the thrice-damned ministry. We all deserve to pay for his death, but I'm rather limited on who I get to punish. The squib and ministry are off limits. Everyone else can fucking burn. I'm going to burn them all in muggle fire." "Defindo!" Harry shouted as Corner cried out as he grabbed his face and fell to the ground. Harry raised his wand to finish him off, but faltered. "Stupif!" Then he heard it, a deep rumbling noise followed by a gasp of terror. Harry saw it, standing on the platform Luna had given her speech. The Reaper had stopped the fighting simply with its presence, and Harry was able to see Xenophilius crushing his daughter's wrist with his petrified wrist. "Oh dear, we are in trouble," Corner sung as Harry ran towards Luna. The being seemed to glide off the platform and float towards Luna. She never felt more terrified in her entire life as the cloaked figure parted the crowd. Xenophilius gulped before he stood between his daughter and the Reaper, but the creature simply pushed him to the side as it stood before Luna. It raised its hand. It grabbed Luna's hand. Harry cursed, but the scythe reflected the curse, and Harry felt a gash open up on his shoulder. Harum harum. For a second, Luna thought the sound came from the deathly figure, then she saw them. Standing on the ruins of stores that surrounded the square was an army of small, murderous-looking beings. Goblins. Harum harum. A large, ugly goblin again blew the titanic horn, and Luna felt the earth shake. Some held spears, others held goblin-forged swords. They chanted in unison, a deep, blood-curdling roar. "Draw catch! Draw catch!" The cloaked figure let go of Luna's wrist and raised its scythe, but that only seemed to trigger the next sound. Gru Warnum, the goblins simultaneously charged, growling viciously as they launched themselves at the wizards. A spear pierced a Totalitor's faceless mask, and the rest of them soon disappeared. Harry grabbed a hold of Luna and muttered, "I'm glad they're on our side." Ugh! A large goblin forced Harry to his knees, pressing a spear into his back as hard as he could without stabbing him. Another goblin did the same to Luna and her father. Xenophilius was pleading for mercy, while Luna had her hands up and looked unperturbed. Luna looked around her and saw the bewitched and LLR alike being forced to their knees. In the distance, she could hear Hermione arguing, "We are on your side." "I'm Hermione Granger, leader of the LLR. Who's in charge?" Luna asked as she turned to face the goblin, only to be forced into the snow. "No talk, no move," the goblin bellowed. "Tarbok Dunger, Greeder," another goblin snarled before looking at Harry and Luna. "My apologies. Goblin soldiers are not like the bankers of Gringotts. They are strong and vicious, but are stupid skullracks that hardly speak anything but gobbledygook." Harry grinned as the short goblin helped him to his feet. "We heard you were dead, Ragnak." The goblin sneered as he offered his hand to Luna. "I assure you, I have never felt more alive. I should almost thank you humans for destroying our beloved bank. It ignited something in us that has been empty and buried for far too long." "A thirst for blood, ha?" Ragnak ignored Xenophilius, who was struggling to his feet, and instead looked around him and approached the body of a Totalitor and removed the spear from its head. "Do not fear. We are not at war with all humans, just our enemies. The punishment for violating the Goblin Treaty, which has enabled our two societies to live together in harmony for hundreds of years, shall be painful and permanent. Destroying Gringotts was a mistake that shall be rectified in gore. Yes, I know the punishments, but can you please not burn alive and eat my friends?" Luna asked politely, while Harry suddenly turned blue. Xenophilius started heaving onto the snow, and for once, Harry couldn't blame him. "Your friends will be taken with us too. Well, we won't tell you where, but it's where we are living. They shall be quickly tried and in all likelihood released. Your ministry," Ragnak spit at their mention, "may not use Veritasrum in trials, but goblins have no such laws. I would like to work with the LLR to free the other innocents, and those who are guilty will be burned at the stake and served. Please, Ragnak, I really do not need to hear the details." Xenophilius pleaded as he leaned on Luna for support. Ragnak smirked, looking at the green faces. "Perhaps you would be better fit to not attend the honorary feasts. I see no need to put you two on trial. Go now, I sense your power is weak. You can hardly channel your magic through a wand." "What?" Xenophilius exclaimed as he stared, inspecting Luna closely. Luna ignored her father and nodded to Ragnak. Ragnak looked over his shoulder and saw two goblins lead Hermione towards them. She held her head high as they jabbed her with spears. "It seems your friend has some kind words for me. I will give you a moment before we leave." I suggest you do the same. I trust your friend is innocent, but if she leaves with you, I will not show mercy. May your bones wither and your blood serve the Goblin nation. And the same to you, Harry muttered under his breath, causing the goblin to give a feral grin. With a salute, Ragnar started to round up his troops and prisoners. Hermione looked at Harry and Luna as the goblins saluted and remained frozen like statues. Hermione shook her head and grimaced. This should be fun. I always wanted to witness an execution. Goblins are brutal but just. You will be fine, Luna whispered as she hugged Hermione. Hermione hugged back tightly. Even if there are no traitors in the LLR, the goblins captured a totalitter. I think we can assume he will be found guilty and— Merlin, don't say it, Xenophilius begged, as he was looking more pale than the snow. Is Ron okay? Harry asked, suddenly looking around for his friend. He's a bit of a mess, but he's in better condition than you, Harry. Hermione replied, looking at the wounds Harry had sustained. Xenophilius replied, I can handle him. Hermione looked skeptically at Xenophilius before pulling Harry into a hug. Take care of yourselves. We will. Say goodbye to Ron for me, Harry said as he saw the goblins approaching them. Harry stepped back and waved as the goblins took Hermione away. Xenophilius took both Harry and Luna's hands and muttered, Let's go home then, shall we? Before Harry or Luna could respond, there was a crack of sounds, and the three had disappeared. Chapter 36. The Haunted. The sun was red as it rose from the earth, and one did not need to be a seer to know what it meant. Luna hummed as she looked out her window. Red sky at night, sailors' delight. Red sky at morning, sailors take warning. What does that mean? Luna looked over her shoulder and saw her father peeking into her room with a mug of tea in hand. Luna glanced out the window and uttered, It means a storm's coming. Xenophilius was silent for a moment before he spoke. I was wondering if you would. Well, would you like to join me for a cup of tea or hot chocolate? Or tea's fine, Luna replied as she kept staring out the window. Xenophilius backed out of the door muttering, I'll be downstairs when you're ready. Luna heard his footsteps as he stumbled down the stairs, but her mind was elsewhere. It was strange being here, the house she grew up in and called home her whole life. Now she felt like a stranger in a strange land. She could not recognize the person she saw in the mirror, and she knew with a certainty that the person who had once inhabited this room was not her. Luna could see it from here, at the top of the large hill. Luna remembered how her parents had made her a sleigh and how she laughed as they pushed her down the hill. She knew she would be visiting that hill soon, though for an entirely different purpose. Luna found her father sitting in the guest room, sipping from his mug of coffee. He looked up and smiled as he saw her, rising from his chair to give her a loving hug. He whispered, I missed you, child. I missed you too, father. Luna hummed as she sat down and took a sip of her tea. Not as much as I have, Xenophilius chuckled as he looked to the clock on the wall while sitting in his own soft chair. Your friend is quite a stubborn patient. He's not my friend, father, Luna reminded him as she drank from her tea. Yes, I know how much he means to you. He is still your friend, though, as your mother was my own. Xenophilius mused as he let his mind wander. Would you like to visit her with me? Luna nodded as she looked out the window. The sun was still red. I would like to wait for Harry to wake up before we go. Xenophilius looked confused for a moment before he asked. You want to bring him? Luna nodded, and Xenophilius sighed. I thought we only brought family to see her. As far as I'm concerned, he is family, Luna replied somewhat sharply. Xenophilius smiled sadly. Are you sure, Luna? I am happy you found someone, but you are still a child, law or not. I'm not a child, not anymore, Luna sighed as her mind drifted away. Xenophilius wanted to deny it, but even he could see his daughter had changed. Luna looked and acted more mature. Something else seemed different about her, but Xenophilius could not put his finger upon it. What is it, father? Luna asked, startling Xenophilius from his thoughts. I'm sorry, I was just thinking, he replied, trailing off. You've changed so much. You've grown up a lot without magic's influence. Luna smiled sadly as she looked out the window. Sometimes I wish I never got magic. I was so much happier then, and things were simpler. I still had my mother. Xenophilius looked up sharply at that. It isn't too late, you know. The goblin said your magic was almost gone. Let it go and leave this Godric forsaken place. You can't stay here a squib. Even without magic, they will still come after you, being who you are. The ministry are rounding up the squibs, and they will make an example out of you. Run away with Potter, or leave him and find someone else. Luna looked insulted. I'm not leaving her. That's not the point, Luna, Xenophilius shouted, wringing his hands. I don't care if it's Potter or some guy I've never met. I don't care if I like him or not. I doubt I'd like him anyway. Hell, I don't care if he's a she or a bloody humdinger. You wouldn't mind if I dated a humdinger? Luna asked skeptically. I thought they were poisonous. Xenophilius let out a noise that was a cross between a laugh and a sob. Sweet child, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. I just want you to be happy. Live your own life, child, and be happy. Don't make the same mistake your mother made. Don't make the same mistake I made. I loved your mother, truly I did. I still do, but I took her for granted. I got so caught up in my work, and so did she. I should have noticed something was wrong, but I didn't see what was in front of my eyes until it was too late. She discovered things we were not meant to know. It sucked her in and drove her mad. How do you think it makes me feel to see you following in her footsteps? If you go down this path, it will cost you everything. And for what magic? Luna glared as she spoke in a way he had never heard her speak before. This isn't about magic, father, not anymore. This is about making the world a better place. People have been trying to do that from since the dawn of civilization, and nothing ever changes. Xenophilius snapped back. The world is as it was always meant to be, and those who try to fight it die. I couldn't live with myself if the same thing happened to you. So what am I supposed to do? Just give up? Dumbledore told us once that there comes a time when we must choose between what is right and what is easy. I've made my choice, Luna exclaimed with a stomp of her foot. No, you haven't, dear child. You wouldn't be having this conversation if you did, Xenophilius whispered. We both know what you must do in order to finish this task. Can you honestly tell me that your mission is worth such a price? Luna shook her head as she felt tears run down her cheek. Xenophilius held Luna in his arms as she cried into his shoulder. He heard her mumble, I know what I have to do, but I just can't do it. Xenophilius nodded in thought. The words she uttered resonated deep within his soul. You know what I want you to do, but those words mean nothing to you. So I will tell you something else, something that may help you find your way. Xenophilius let go of Luna, knelt down until he was looking into her eyes. Life is uncertain, and death is unpredictable. Love is not a happy ending, it is a struggle. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. Sometimes the people you love leave you, sometimes they leave us all. Sometimes it is you who abandons them. It takes constant effort for it to work, but trust me, Luna, it is worth it. You and Harry are two lost souls, just like Pandora and I. Together we found ourselves, but somehow we lost each other along the way. Love is precious and powerful, like trapping lightning in a bottle, yet beyond your control. All you can ever truly do is hold on to it for as long as you can and cherish it, because the moment you stop, it's over. Xenophilius stood up and walked to the window and looked out longingly to the hill. It ends, and you spend the rest of your life dreaming of the days you wasted away. Don't forsake the only thing in this life that matters for your ambition. Don't end up like me, child. Luna backed away, and Xenophilius couldn't help but notice how small she seemed. Then the sound of footsteps, then cursing broke the mood as Harry tumbled down the stairs. Harry moaned as he landed at the bottom of the stairs. The stairs are missing some of their steps. We did warn you last night, Harry, Luna said sadly as she went to check on Harry. I didn't, Xenophilius mumbled. Why are there missing steps? Harry groaned as Luna helped him up. I suspect Nargles, Luna hummed with a small smile. Ha 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 ha. What was that? Xenophilius shrieked as he started looking around the room like a mouse looks out for a hungry cat. We better get going, father, if you still want to visit her. Luna sung as she took Harry's hand and led him out of the house. Leaving a pale Xenophilius to quickly follow her, Harry noticed that Luna was awfully quiet as they walked up the hill. The snow was deep, but Xenophilius charmed their sneakers to not sink into the snow. The older man seemed troubled. Luna herself seemed to be more aloof than usual, but otherwise seemed happy to be home. Harry whispered in Luna's ear, "Is everything okay?" "Why wouldn't it be?" Luna hummed happily. Harry frowned as something was off about Luna's face, as if her smile was forced. "You seem tense, and frankly your father's acting like he's about to be eaten by a dragon." "Don't be foolish, Harry. Dad's wearing his anti-dragon charm." Luna replied with a giggle, though Xenophilius had taken out his wand and started casting spells around him. Before Harry could comment on this, Luna stopped, and Xenophilius seemed to calm down from his panic attack as he took Luna's hand. Harry felt Luna's hand intertwined with his own, and the three of them continued their trek to the top of the hill. Harry didn't notice anything at first. The top of the hill was covered in snow and nothing else, though the sun seemed to shine brightly from up here. Then Luna smiled and walked towards something so small and pure that Harry swore could not be real, a yellow daisy blooming through the snow. Luna smiled radiantly. It had been so long, yet after all that had changed in her life, the flower remained unchanged. Luna felt tears run down her face as she whispered to the flower, "Hi, Mum." Harry heard Luna and squeezed her hand tightly. "Is this where?" Luna nodded. "Father buried her here and planted a single flower seed. He placed preservation charms on it, and it grew into a beautiful flower. It shines of life and purity, and is as beautiful as the day it first bloomed." "As it should," Xenophilius whispered reverently. "It holds your mother's spirit." "It does," Harry breathed. He felt that the slightest sound would disturb the serene silence. To do so would be a crime against such a mystical place. "Pandora's body became one with the soil," Xenophilius said solemnly. "When she died, her body became one with the dirt, and from the dirt grew a flower. The flower lives off the living force of the earth, so the dirt becomes one with the plant. It is the way of things, since such things came to be. Pandora's spirit is the flower, and in the grass that grows. She is in the air we breathe, and in the water we drink. When I look at this flower, I realize that we never truly die, nor do we truly leave this world. Pandora lives within us all. Pandora lives on in all things, and when we die, so shall we." "That's beautiful," Harry whispered as he thought of all the people he had lost in his short life. Luna nodded in agreement as she entered Harry's comforting embrace. "Yes, it is," Xenophilius replied with a pained expression on his face as he watched Luna seek comfort in Harry's arms. "It warms my heart to know that she rests here. The tragedy is that she came here too soon." Harry could still see the staring faces, even as his eyes started to water. He shook his head violently, yet the tears kept falling. They all silently cried as they stood over Pandora's resting place, yet in that moment no one cried for Pandora. Xenophilius felt his heart ache as Luna found comfort in another. He cursed the ache in his thoughts. Hell, he had more things to worry about than bloody empty nest syndrome. Still, this had always been something he and Luna did, and she would always seek his comfort when they visited Pandora's spirit. It made him feel old. "Father," Luna spoke, breaking the silence that descended over them. "Yes, Luna," Xenophilius replied in an overly loud voice, waking him from his thoughts. "Could you please meet us back at home?" Luna asked sweetly. "We would like to speak to Harry for a moment." Xenophilius felt like he had been punched in the gut. He nodded wordlessly and left the sanctuary by himself. His brain seemed to itch as words like obsolete, archaic, we and primitive ran through it. "Wait." Xenophilius paused before he hastily started back up the hill. His blood was freezing, and it had nothing to do with the snow. "Did she say we?" "Who's we?" "Merlin." Xenophilius slowed down and crouched as he heard the voices. He gasped. "They're here, they're back, in my home." "I think we should leave Luna," Harry said nervously. "It's only a matter of time before Totalitter come looking for you. The fact they haven't already is worrying as it is. As you should be." A voice replied with a cackle. It sounded a little like Luna's, yet was far more mischievous and cackling. Not all is well in the rook. Secrets, question, and answers lies under the floor of childhood's end. Must we speak in riddles? A second voice replied, sounding even more like Luna's, but tired and cynical. If answers they seek, they must stay. If they leave, then ignorance shall reign. And was that not a riddle? Luna replied, confused, and to Zeno's surprise, somewhat angry. I'm sick of questions, and I'm sick of riddles. I want answers, and I want them now. Patience is a virtue, Moonchild, said a third voice. It sounded the most like Luna's, yet it was older and wiser. Only to those with time, Luna rebuffed. The third voice chuckled. You have time, child, you just don't want to use it. Forget it, Luna. Arguing with Nargles is useless. Harry snapped angrily, like getting a straight answer from a centaur. The three voices chorused in anger as Luna hummed. That was harsh, Harry. If you want answers, then ask the right questions to the right people. Look for the answers, and you shall find the truth. The knowledge you find may not help you on your quest. It might only hinder you. The third voice replied. Look over your shoulder, the second voice sang. A storm is a-coming. The first voice hissed in laughter. Xenophilius couldn't move. He was petrified by fear. It was worse than he thought. Everything was always worse than he thought. He gripped his wand tight as he slowly crawled up the hill. Then he heard Luna speak in a plain voice that made him shiver. Harry, meet me at home and speak to my father. I won't be long. Harry seemed to hesitate. Xenophilius could hear the frown in his voice. Are you sure? We always are, Luna replied, and Xenophilius could see Harry heading down the hill looking over his shoulder at Luna. Xenophilius quickly disillusioned himself as Harry walked past him. He saw Luna follow him. She looked different. Her eyes seemed wide, but unseeing, yet her footsteps continued straight forward, undeterred towards him. She stopped 3 feet from Xenophil's and looked him dead in the eye. He felt his heart stop at the soulless look her eyes held. He slowly rose to his feet and dryly spoke in a hoarse voice. What have you done to my daughter? Luna stared back and smiled. You've been awfully nosy, father. Some habits die hard. I'm not your father, Xenophilius hissed in anger, gripping his wand tighter. And you're not my daughter. Luna seemed to start crying. How could you say that? Don't patronize me, Xenophilius shouted as he raised his wand at Luna. Luna stopped crying and pouted with cold eyes. You're no fun. You were a lot more gullible the first time. Xenophilius shuddered. You won't take her from me, not again. You already took my wife. If you think I'll let you live in my daughter, my own flesh and blood. Luna hummed, and her voice seemed to change. Ha! We did not take the Moon Mother. We helped her. We are her. We are her children, her true children, and we will help the Moon Child at all costs. Be careful, Xenophilius, or you might make the same mistake twice. Where is Luna? Xenophilius asked, as he slowly circled his daughter. Luna replied as she stood as still as a statue, even as Xenophilius walked behind her back. She is here and she is there. She is before your eyes, yet in places best left untouched. She's going to get the answers no matter what you do, and she will fulfill her destiny at any cost. You mean you're going to force her? What if she doesn't want to be Pandora's puppet? Xenophilius shouted as he raised his wand at Luna, preparing stun her. Of course she doesn't want to do what she must, but she will nonetheless. She will do it because she knows it is the right thing to do. We would never force Luna to do anything. We do care for her. You have a funny way of showing it, Xenophilius hissed as his wand started to glow. Luna laughed, and 3 voices echoed her. You're going to stun us. The girl may all but be a squib, but we are the children of the wise. We are the secret behind her sacred eyes. We are dreams, and we are your worst nightmare. Now watch as your nightmare come true, ha-ha-ha. Without warning, Xenophilius' wand shot a spell, and Luna turned to water and splashed on the ground. Xenophilius yelped in shock and horror before he heard a giggle from behind him. Xenophilius quickly turned around and saw a white rabbit staring at him with red eyes. He cast a spell as he raised his wand, but another giggle startled him. A black cat met his gaze, and then a raven flew right at Zeno's face. The wizard screamed as he threw himself into the snow and started rolling down the hill. The animals seemed to holler with laughter. "You better run, X. You don't want to miss the show. You're the star after all." The rabbit laughed as Xenophilius struggled to his feet and began bolting down the mountain, falling every 5 feet or so. He seemed to be running in circles, as he seemed to be no closer to the house as when he first started his desperate flight. Xenophilius saw them spin around them in their true forms. They heckled in unison. "You know what we are, how we were created. Your daughter is just like the Moon Mother. Her destiny must be fulfilled, no matter what cost. You must play your own part. It is the only way." Walls seemed to be closing in on him, and the mocking sounds of Noggle laughter was being replaced by the sound of anguished screams and cries. "She's mad. She must be taken to St. Mungo's before she hurts someone, before she hurts herself. Before she hurts." "No!" Xenophilius yelled as he fled from the Noggles by going uphill and suddenly bursting into the seemingly empty house. Xenophilius struggled to pull his wand from out of his robes as he stumbled towards the stairs. The pale man cursed. The house ward went off in his mind, and he realized exactly where Luna went. "Oh, bloody hell! Curse you Noggles, curse you Pandora, and curse Potter to Hades if he doesn't help my daughter." Expecto Patronum. A tortoise emerged from his wand and moved with surprising speed to its destination. Xenophilius then began walking up the stairs. Harry walked into the rook-shaped house with a head consumed with worry. He wondered what Luna was up to. "Hello, Harry," Luna said as he walked into the kitchen. "Hello, Luna." Harry smiled as he greeted Luna before pausing. He looked back at Luna, who was drinking a cup of something green. "Luna," Harry asked, "how did you get down here so fast? Why did you tell me to?" "How come I didn't notice? Must be Noggles," Luna hummed as she finished her cup. "Have you seen Father?" Harry frowned. "No, wasn't he supposed to meet us here?" Luna looked around her and shrugged. "He's probably in his study." He would always vanish into his study when he got an idea for a quibbler article, like the dangers of the dragon speech and the Great Muffin Scandal. "The Great Muffin Scandal?" Harry asked with a raised eyebrow. "Muffins are just cupcakes without the icing," Luna said seriously as she got up and started heading for the stairs. Harry followed her as he replied, "I'm not sure that's a scandal." "Of course it's not. The scandal is far more terrifying," Luna whispered before running up the stairs. Harry was about to follow her when he heard the strangest sound, the creaking of a door opening for the first time in years. Harry slowly approached the door and walked down the slanted stairs that creaked with each unsteady step. Luna approached her father's study and gently knocked on the door. "Father," silence was her reply. The house seemed too quiet, and Luna realized Harry had not followed her. She made sure to knock loudly on the door and called, "Father." The door seemed to click open by itself, and Luna stepped in to see it was empty. "Most curious," Luna uttered as she walked into the room with a tense feeling in her gut. She shook it off when she saw the desk had been severely burned. She ran over to it to see what caused the damage and saw a pile of ashes on top of the burned table. Luna sighed, smiling. "I warned him that the parchment would burn." Luna looked at the portrait in the room and grinned. Newt Scamander had been an idol of hers. She had remembered when she had met the pioneer of magizoology as a child. He was friendly and kind, but she noticed he was borderline harsh to his peers, including her father. Her father had told her that he had to be cruel and strict, because if anyone got hurt on their expositions, it would rest on him. The search for the chupacabra had lasted many months, and though Luna had always remained back at camp, it was not uncommon for the researchers to come back with injuries. A couple of them never came back at all. Luna remembered the shock when Scamander returned with her father and the rest of the day's party. They had clearly discovered the famed beast. 3 of them had not come back, and Newt was missing his wand arm. Luna imagined it was a violent end to his field career, but the wizard seemed more thrilled at proving the beast's existence than the lives lost to do. Also then, his own arm. Luna reached out and touched the painting, caressing the portrait's arms. She remembered hearing the man had died in his sleep a couple of years ago. It had saddened her at the time, but she knew he had lived a long, happy life, unlike her mother. Luna blinked as her emotion momentarily got the better of her, and a light pulse of magic went up her arm and into the portrait. Luna's eyes widened in wonder as the wall changed from blue to orange, and she could no longer feel the painting her hand was on. Luna inquisitively pressed forward and felt her finger sink through the painting. She kept pressing until her entire hand seemed to go through the portrait, which seemed to ripple like a stone dropped in a puddle. Luna nervously looked around the room and pulled her hand away from the pond on the wall. I should go back, Luna thought to herself, every nerve in her body humming with foreboding energy. I should walk out of the study and never come back. Yet a voice in her head seemed to whisper in her ear as it egged her on. He is keeping from you. Find out what they are. Find out who the Earth Mother is. Find out who you really are. What's in there? Luna whispered, as a snake slid up her shoulder and slithered around her neck. The creature whispered. Knowledge, of course. Not just any knowledge, mind you, but forbidden knowledge. Is there nothing SSSO tempting as a ripe fruit? Ha ha ha! Luna grabbed the snake, and it turned into a familiar Noggle, and U Alpha Och Iota Alpha huffed. Once you enter that room, things will never be the same. You will learn things you must learn. You will learn things you wish to never learn. I don't want to, Luna whispered in a small voice. The Noggle laughed. You don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Luna closed her eyes and muttered under her breath. You're right. You're always right. Luna kept her eyes closed as she walked forward and through the wall and immediately hit her shin on something as hard as stone. Luna yelped in pain. Ha ha! Luna threw a hand over her mouth, muffling the laugh. She was really starting to dislike the Noggles. Luna opened her eyes and realized that she was not in a room. In fact, it was so small it could hardly be called a closet. Yet it was empty except for the ancient stone bowl as high as her knee. It was a pensive. Luna was certain of it, though she struggled to see why it had been hidden so severely. Sure, memories are precious, but Luna never even knew the thing existed until she bashed her shinbone off it. There was a vial sitting on the edge of the bowl, most likely used for taking memories with him on his frequent journeys. The pensive seemed to be marked with a symbol now unrecognizable from the passage of time. She looked inside and saw the white-silver substance, more gas and liquid. Luna saw shapes form in the pensive and saw the face of her mother. The women leaned forward and kissed a young man. Luna hadn't recognized him at first, but when he gave a nervous twitch, she knew who it was. Father, Luna whispered before backing away from the pensive. This was his most precious memories. This was private, if not sacred to him. Is this what the Noggles want of me? Luna thought to herself. To search through my own father's memories for information, because I won't. She was about to turn when something stopped her. Somehow she just knew that wasn't it. Luna looked around the room for anything that might be important, yet she saw nothing. She could feel the magic coming off the pensive, and it made the hair on the back of her neck stand. You are looking for what you wish to see. Look not with your heart, but with your eyes. A voice whispered that sounded like flamels. Luna emptied her mind, and without thought or feeling saw the room and all in it. Luna noticed something most peculiar. The vial was labeled, yet it was the only one there. Luna didn't pay much mind to it at first, but still, some unseen force seemed to draw her towards it. A fog seemed to fill the air as the voices whispered things she could not comprehend. Her hand grasped the vial before Luna realized she had even reached for it, and a bolt of lightning seemed to flow up her arm. The air seemed to crackle as she raised the vial to her face, and suddenly, everything was normal. Luna did not notice as her eyes stared transfixed on the vial in her hand. It had writing on it that she recognized all too well, for she had held this vial before. Take with you. Do not use until instructed. Love, Mum. Luna's hand shook as she felt her heartbeat through her chest. She nearly dropped the vial as she poured the vial into the pensive. Luna saw images begin to form in the pensive, and holding her breath, she leaned down to meet the images. She could hear screams and laughter. sounds of frantic whispers and words of love. She could hear the sound of a baby crying and the sight of fire. She heard a sound from outside the room of a door being slammed shut, and the frantic sound of footsteps, but her consciousness was already being dragged into the pensive. Images swirled around her as the pensive seemed to struggle in what to show her. Strange creatures seemed to fly around her and sing. Esamortmark ch2, Esunu Rataf h38, Easyugsid Ni lived 8, Emratam h38 h2. Then she landed on the ground and looked around at the scene before her. She was in a small ministry office, surprisingly dark. She saw a woman sitting behind her desk, seemingly hidden in the darkness. Luna moved to get a closer look, but the knocking on the door startled her. The door opened, and a timid man poked his head through the crack. He spoke with a stutter. "Hello, is anyone in H? Here." "Yes, Xenophilius," the woman replied sweetly. "Please come in and shut the door." Luna watched as her father did just that. He blindly stumbled towards the desk where a chair knocked him into his seat. Xenophilius spoke nervously. "I don't know how you bloody work in this place." "Not well," the woman admitted. "I used to hate it here. Now too much light gives me a migraine. Merlin bless the stupidity of wizards, but I doubt you will here to discuss my working condition." "Your wife knows all about that." The woman seemed to spit that last part out like it was offensive to her tongue. Xenophilius laughed nervously. "It is about my wife that I've come. I don't need to hear the marital woes of a former employee and you. It has been years since you have bothered my presence, and since that time, you and your wife have tried to leak information of my department. Do you realize the damage you have caused the ministry? If it wasn't for her unbreakable vows, the Muggles would have blown us all to kingdom come. If you don't stop her, that's exactly what will happen." Xenophilius blurted out. "This work she has been fixated on, it's dangerous. She has lost her mind, I'm certain of it. I don't trust her near my daughter. I think she is using her for one of her experiments. I've tried asking her, but she acts like I'm speaking another language. She acts like she's got some sort of multiple personality disorder. I didn't even know wizards and witches could get that. She nearly burned the house down. She did burn the garden down. The fairies of Fairy Pond that have been in my family for generations have fled. There's something in my house, a poltergeist or something, and Pandora speaks to herself, and Xenophilius burst into tears as the stress poured out of him. I confronted her. She was mad talking about Nargles, and this thing dragged me out of my house. I found this note saying stuff about giving her daughter magic and giving herself to these things. She wants to give magic to others. She has lost it. My Pandora is going to hurt herself. She's going to hurt my child. Help me, please. SHH. The woman leaned forward and wrapped her hand around Zeno's, who jerked it away. Listen to me. You know you can trust me. I will take care of this. You do realize I will need to have your wife committed at St. Mungo's. Xenophilius seemed to flinch at that. For how long? As long as it takes. However, I promise the Department of Mysteries will do everything in its power to help Pandora recover. I will get an aura and have her apprehended for, let's think, child endangerment. Don't look at me like that. We shall have her committed, not imprisoned. We fix her up and everything will be back to normal as it should. Merlin, bless you, Xenophils cried as the women got up and began walking to the door when she stopped. Xenophilius, since when did you become a father? The witch asked slowly. Xenophilius looked up. Since she was born, she's 7 years old and sh. 7. I don't remember dear Pandora being pregnant at the time. The women replied slowly before speaking. Not that it matters, though I should warn you, we might need to take your daughter if she is in any daytime danger. This could be a delicate situation, and we will have to handle it as such. I'll go back home and get her. No, it is best that you stay out of the way, the women ordered as she shut the door behind her. Luna ran after her and through the memory of a door. Outside the room was all white nothingness, as Xenophilius had no memory of what was happening out of the room, but Luna could hear words being whispered. Taken alive, but kill the girl. Blame it on her mother. Understand, mister? Shacklebolt. Before Luna could hear more, she felt something pull her from the pensive. Luna's feet touched the floor as she realized someone was speaking to her and pulling her through the hallway. Why in the name of Merlin you're looking in my pensive is beyond me, but we got to get going. Nargles are everywhere, you're not safe. Luna, the Earth Father unwise, with his compromise with the Earth Mother the devil in disguise, Luna looked at her father and backed away, her eyes wide and her face more pale than his own. Xenophilius looked as if he'd seen a ghost as he spoke to Luna like a child. I understand things are weird, Luna, but I promise to help you okay. I promise. Luna tuned him out as she moved away from his outstretched hand. Instead, she listened the voices singing in her mind. The Earth Father unwise, with his compromise with the Earth Mother the devil in disguise. Whatever you saw in that pensive, whatever it is, we will talk about it, I promise, but right now we have got to go. Luna interrupted her father's nervous ramblings in a calm voice. Where is Harry? Xenophilius looked behind him. No idea. Disappeared. I suspect Nargles. Xenophilius gave a nervous laugh as he reached out for Luna. I promise Luna your Harry is fine, he said slowly. But we all have to go to someplace safe. Away from you, Luna whispered as she looked her father in the eye, the voices getting louder as her own joined them. The Earth Father unwise, with his compromise, with the Earth Mother the devil in disguise. Luna, Xenophilius uttered, as he looked at his daughter with no small amount of fear. Who is she, father? Luna's voice shook as she looked at Xenophilius as if for the first time. Xenophilius looked confused. Who? Who is the woman who had my mother killed? Luna shouted, her face red with anger. Other than yourself. Xenophilius flinched violently at this. Oh, her! Luna pushed past him as she started running down the stairs. He chased her down the stairs. Luna, wait, you don't understand. Luna entered the kitchen and hurled her rage onto her father. It's your fault mother's dead. Luna, please, Xenophilius pleaded. I didn't know. I swear they were supposed to help her. She was mad. She was going to hurt you, and she did hurt you. Who is the Earth Mother, then? Luna snapped back, approaching her father. If she had my mother killed, then why won't you tell me? The answer would hurt you, Luna. I don't want you to bear the burden. Xenophilius spoke frantically. Some things are best left unknown, some secrets best left secret, some stones are best left untouched, some sleeping dogs should be left to lie. I must awaken the sleeping dogs, even the ones we would rather let lie. Luna stated firmly. You and Mother taught me that only by opening our minds can we see the world for what it is. I will not close my mind from the truth because it's convenient. We will not live a lie. Xenophilius began pulling at his hair as he cursed. Damn it, Luna, have some faith that your father knows what's best for you. I love you, Luna. You are all I have left in this world. No, I'm not, Luna uttered as tears ran down her face. I loved you and you betrayed me. You betrayed her. You even betrayed Harry. All you do is lie and betray. Everything I did, have ever done, and will do, I do for you, Luna, Xenophilius shouted. Luna looked away as if the sight of him burnt. Leave me alone, Xenophilius. Luna walked out of the room, leaving her father frozen behind her. Luna noticed the open door and realized the truth of Harry's whereabouts. Luna began running towards the door but froze when she looked down the jagged stairs. Luna had not been down these stairs since that faithful night. Not since her mother's death. Luna felt a terrible fear overcome her as she took the first step and immediately backed away from the stairs. Luna could hear voices down the stairs as magic seemed to hum from the basement. Father's right, this house is haunted, Luna thought to herself. But this house is haunted by more than Nargles. How had I not seen it before? You were a part of it. Another voice seemed to whisper. You haunted this house as much as any Nargle or ghost. Now it is you who is haunted. Maybe he was right. Maybe it is better to let it be, Luna replied to herself. Harry is down there and he hasn't come out, the voice cackled. Luna heard her father's footsteps and realized she had no choice, and after taking a deep breath, she buried her fear and took the first step down. Chapter 37. The Earth Mother, the Power of Perception. Perception, the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses, the state of being or process of becoming aware of something through the senses, a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something, a mental impression. All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Luna took the second step before restarting the count under her breath. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Luna took her third step, then her fourth, counting along with every step. She remembered her father once broke his leg walking down the stairs, and it was not hard to understand why. The steps were slanted upwards, as they had been the day Pandora had illegally continued her work as an unspeakable in the basement of their home. For Luna, it had been like this as far back as she could remember. The stairs creaked as if they were warning her to not venture further, but Luna had ventured through her share of dangers. She wasn't going to be scared of stairs. Suddenly, the impatient stairs flattened, and with a small eep, Luna slid down into the wooden door. Luna shook off the cobwebs in her mind and ignored the laughter that bore into her brain like an eight-legged parasite. She slowly rose to her feet, holding back tears, thinking about her father, her mother, and her fear for Harry was starting to overwhelm her. It was his fault she died. Luna thought bitterly as she saw her pleading father, whom she had always loved and relied on, and all but spit in his face. She felt so much pain she wished the veil was back. Maybe things were better with magic. Things hurt less with magic, and the veil seemed to numb the pain. It would certainly help her with the fear that gripped her beating heart. The wooden door was full of cracks like it had been hastily repaired without much thought to it. The doorknob was missing, and the wood was brown with a shade of dark red. As if it was bleeding, Luna rose, trembling, and lightly pushed on the door, grazing it with her delicate skin. Luna shuddered as the door creaked, sounding like a blade scraping glass. The sound seemed to vanish as Luna looked into the room. It was dark, with only a hint of light from the doorway. Luna shuddered as she slowly stepped into the very room her mother died. She felt something crunch under her feet. It felt like bones. Slam! Luna screamed as the door slammed shut and plunged her into total darkness. The only sound she could hear was her shuddering, cold breath, pounding heart, and the crunch of someone approaching her as it crushed the bones in its wake. She blindly took a step backwards and flung herself to where she thought the door was. If it was there, it did not open. Luna pressed her back to the door and held her breath as the crunching grew louder. When it stopped, she knew it was right in front of her. Luna scrunched up her face, sealing her eyes shut as she waited for the axe to fall. Then she heard a breath whisper, "Lumos." A faint light lit the room, yet Luna's eyes struggled to adjust to it. The floor was covered not in bones, but seemingly ancient parchments charred and burned beyond recognition. Scattered among the parchments were broken pieces of glass from potion vials shattered long ago. The walls were covered in mold, and underneath it, Luna swore she could make out faces in the wall. The remains that filled the room had been destroyed, leaving only clutters of burnt charcoal. The figure before her was none other than Harry, who took Luna into his arms as he whispered, "Luna, what happened? Are you okay?" Luna tried to nod, but didn't have the strength to lie. "Father," he told on her. Harry looked confused. "What?" Luna spoke quickly, her voice sounding empty as she told Harry what she'd learned. Harry was silent for a moment before he spoke. "I'm not going to lie. I don't like your father, and he doesn't like me, but we both care for you. Your father made a mistake, but he did what he did because he loves you, and your mother too. He knows who killed her, Harry, not just Shacklebolt, but the Earth Mother. He protects her. I know it's Grimhilda. Why won't he just admit it? Didn't you see her face?" Harry raised an eyebrow. He did something to the memory. It was dark in the room, yet the darkness seemed to cover her face. "Harry, Luna's voice caught. Her eyes drifted to the floor. Harry followed her eyes and failed to grasp her reaction to a corner of the room. However, as he took a closer look, Harry could swear the burnt parchments had a faint shade of red to them. "Is that where?" Harry didn't finish. The look in Luna's eyes was all he needed to know the answer. "I don't remember much." Luna whispered as she knelt down and gently caressed the burnt parchments. After Mother said the magic words, my memory is fuzzy, everything seemed blurred. I remember this light, Harry, this incredible light. I could feel the magic as it started to enter me. Mother had this look on her face. She looked into my eyes. She had this gleam, and I'm certain she knew what she was doing. She was giving me everything I had ever wanted. I was becoming a witch. I felt so happy. I don't think I ever loved my mother more than in that moment. Then her eyes looked up and Luna squinted, like she was trying to see what was just out of sight, before speaking once more. I was waking up on the floor, and she was just lying here on the floor. Things were exploding, her potions were erupting. I didn't care, I just wanted my mother to wake up. I tried shaking her, and I started yelling for her to wake up. She never answered, and I just remember realizing that she was never going to answer me, that she was gone. I felt pain like I never felt before, that no one should ever bear. I was only 9. I was wanting the pain to go away. The gargles came to me and they answered my prayer. They took away my pain. They took everything from me. And I was happy with that, as long as I never felt that pain. Then you came into my life, Harry, and reminded me what I had lost over the years. Harry lifted Luna away from where her mother had died. Luna, I haven't been down here since. I just lived here, pretending this room never existed. Luna whispered. I want to leave this place, Harry. I dreamt of returning home every day in Xanadu. I guess I'll have to keep dreaming, for this place isn't my home. Not anymore. Harry let Luna go as he pulled out his wand. First you need to see something. Close your eyes. Luna did and heard Harry whisper, Lumos Maxima. Behind her eyelids, Luna was blinded by a flash of bright light. It was so powerful Luna could hear the magic humming through the air she breathed. Nox, Harry whispered, plunging Luna back into comfortable darkness. Luna opened her eyes as they struggled to adjust to the darkness. Luna blinked a few times and gasped at what she saw. The walls were covered in glowing green markings, casting a faint emerald haze over the dark room. The words said many things. One marking marked Valentine's Day, another marked the 5th of November, even words like Nargle and magic. Devil's Night was carved deep into the stone. Surrounding the drawing was a perfect circle, and surrounding the circle was a triangle. Inside the triangle were many pictures of crudely drawn castles. Cutting down the picture was a thin line carved straight and true. At the end of each line was the words Pandora's box. Luna's eyes widened. She wasn't sure what the words in the castle meant, but she recognized the symbol. The Deathly Hollows. Harry nodded, looking at the markings with no small amount of unease. Luna stared at Harry with a rare look of astonishment. Harry, how did you discover this? Harry took Luna's hands and led her through the room. When I first stepped down here, I felt something lead me to this. Harry pointed to an old, worn-out book, burnt nearly beyond recognition. It was covered in potion stains and looked as if it would fall apart if lifted from the desk. Luna reached out, but Harry stopped her and carefully turned the pages. Luna caught glimpses of writings, scribbled down in a rush as ink blots covered the deteriorating pages. Harry showed Luna a page completely covered in a series of runes so complex, even Dumbledore would cry uncle. At the top of the pages were 2 words. Pandora's box, Luna whispered. I've never seen anything like this. My mother was brilliant, but it's inhuman. Harry swore he could hear the Nargles laughing. Can you translate it? Luna shook her head. They're not words. Most of these runes don't spell anything. They're elemental runes so sophisticated. The runes are overlapping, creating images and fractals that probably go on and on for eternity. Endless images circling and spiraling. It brings abstract expressionist painter Jackson Pollock to shame. He was this painter who had fractals in his work. I think he has since died. Artists tend to die young. My great-uncle on my third side removed was an artist, and he tried to fight a yeti. Luna, Harry interrupted as Luna began to ramble. Sorry, in layman terms which are boring, these runes are like those used in warding. In order for wards to work, they need to be charged by magic. Runes either have to have magic. The runes, instead of being side by side, are painted partly on top of each other, overlapping. This breaks every law of runes making, because the magic would charge itself to a point of exploding. Unless it creates a perfect fractal, Luna explained as she examined the parchment. Fractals, Harry asked as he looked over Luna's shoulder. A pattern on every scale. You look at the images close enough and see the same patterns. Look even closer, beyond what our eyes are capable of seeing. The pattern continues. It's also known as evolving symmetry. How many times does the pattern repeat itself? Harry whispered at the swirling image. As far as it can go, no one is certain for sure. Harry, what is the most magical number? Luna asked suddenly. Harry reached into the back of his mind for an answer. There he remembered something Hermione once said. 37. It combines the magical numbers of 3 and 7. Luna shook her head. Many arithmeticians believe so, but they are all wrong. The most powerful number is infinity. There was a pregnant pause before Harry spoke. Are you saying this rune goes on forever? Luna shook her head. The fractals go on forever. The amount of fractals at this scale is beyond count. Mother wrote something under it. Oh dear. Harry read aloud the small writing that Luna pointed at. Runes must completely cover inside of room. Room must be. Luna, this room is bigger than the Great Hall. Mother has either created a doomsday contraption, which would have killed us all by now, or she has created the first independently self-charging rune system in the history of magic. I'm not sure how, but it's the only logical explanation of the theory. It would need an incredible amount to activate the runes, but once activated, the runes would pull magic from nothing, except infinity itself. Luna spoke breathlessly, her eyes lit by fire. This has to be what Mother wanted Phileas to build. This must be important. Harry took the page from the broken book and folded it before putting the parchment in his pocket. Luna gasped as she looked at the next page. Luna read her mother's words like she was starving for them. She read them out loud reverently. No one believes in magic anymore. Not even the wizards that wield it. Without magic, humans become cold, men grow cruel, children born old. What happened to imagination? What happened to wonder? What happened to love for the world and our brothers? Together we stood tall, but divided we fall by forsaking magic. We have doomed us all. We have placed chains of limitation on our spirit. We have taught ourselves rules that have never been spoken, until every declaration of weakness and every moment of doubt is hammered into our souls, now dented and broken. If we stay on this path, nothing shall endure, for the coming war shall wipe the land bare. No salvation for the wicked, or no salvation for the pure, and the children shall be born no more. Luna's reciting had become cold and emotionless. The green haze had begun to fade, bringing them back into darkness. Reality's a liar, sanity's a sin, love is not desire, it is a war one cannot win. Luna was no longer looking at Harry, her eyes glazed and empty. Harry jumped back as the pages started to flip until it reached the very back of the book. Luna started to sing the words in the melody of a children's nursery rhyme Harry could not quite recall. He shivered as he listened to the words. Sense of dread in my head, visions of red left, unsaid, I'm already dead. I know his death, I know hers too, all must die no matter. What I do I shall too, only I know why I'm sorry. I just wanted to help. I should have told you, forgive, Meluna, Luna, Luna. Ah! Tick tock, 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 tick tock. Harry frowned at the writing and looked at Luna, who was practically shaking as she muttered mindlessly. What in Merlin's? Stupefy. Harry had his wand ready before he even knew why. Luna ducked as Harry deflected and shot a cutting curse at the attacker, who cried out. Oh, bloody hell! Harry cast Lumos and lowered his wand. Xenophilius, what the hell? I think I lost my finger, Xenophilius moaned. No, just a nail, don't do that, you could have killed me. Why the bloody hell did you just try to stun me? Harry shouted angrily. Xenophilius yelled in a strained voice. My daughter was having some sort of fit, likely because of those Godric damned Noggles. I was trying to stop her from hurting herself. Dragon shit that was aimed at me, Harry cursed as he raised his wand at the older man. Luna peeked out from the floor. Father, damn it, don't you understand she's in danger? The Noggles are going to destroy her like they destroyed my Pandora. I won't let that happen again. Xenophilius shrieked as he sent a curse at Harry. Harry shot the curse back at Xenophilius, but met another curse the wizard had cast. Stop, 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 Luna screamed, shocking the two wizards from their anger. Luna had tears in her eyes as she stood between the two. This fighting isn't solving anything. Father, I have to do this. You can't stop me, Harry can't stop me. Nothing can stop me, even if I wanted to stop. Please just leave me alone. Luna strode over to Harry and took his hand. Let's go, Harry. Harry nodded and glanced at Luna as he prepared to apparate. No, Xenophilius shouted as grabbed Luna's arm and yanked her out of his grasp. Luna cried out as Harry reclaimed her other arm. For a split second, the two pulled Luna's arms like a demented game of tug-of-war before another cry from Luna forced Harry to let go. Xenophilius wrapped his arms around Luna's waist as he started carrying her to the door. Luna kicked out violently before slamming her heel into her father's groin. He dropped her as he bent over, wheezing in pain. Harry practically lunged at Xenophilius, punching him square across the chin, but Kino struck back, knocking Harry to the floor with a vicious backhand. Harry tumbled to the floor with a loud thump, causing Luna to kick her father in the shin. Xenophilius grabbed his shin in pain while reaching for Luna. Harry rose to his knees and, with a cry, tackled Xenophilius to the ground. Harry began raining punches on the older man who covered up from the abusing. Xenophilius cried out as a punch hit his nose, but was able to kick Harry off of him. Xenophilius struggled to his feet, holding his bloody nose, and shouted, Do you not care for my daughter, Potter? I am trying to help her while you let her go mad. I'm not blind. You wanted to go on another bloody adventure, and Luna gave you one. But you are working for the forces of evil. The Noggles will corrupt and destroy Luna. I can't let that happen, Harry growled, seeing red. Stay the hell away from Luna. If you hurt her again, I'll. Harry trailed off as Xenophilius stared over his shoulder. Harry cautiously turned to see Luna standing behind him, staring up at the ceiling. Her head was slightly tilted, and she stood upon her tiptoes. Luna, Harry asked as he approached her, but she quickly raised her hand. SHH, Luna whispered as she pointed to the ceiling. Harry was about to speak, and her look prevented it. Instead, he tilted his head, stood on his toes, and listened. At first, he didn't notice anything unusual. The only sound he heard was Zeno's heavy breathing. Then he heard it, a sound. It wasn't loud. In fact, he hardly heard it all, but hear it he did. Thump, thump, thump. The ceiling shook slightly under the sound of muffled footsteps. Luna's eyes traced each spot where the thump came from. Whispering could be heard, but they were unintelligible from the basement. A loose floorboard bent, and the ceiling creaked under the weight of footsteps, clicking and clacking from the floor above them. Luna's eyes slowly lowered from the ceiling as they stared across the room. She hardly whispered. What have you done? Something in the room seemed to cackle, and a pair of large yellow eyes pierced through the darkness. It started whispering something that none could hear, but filled the room with a growing sense of dread. Harry turned to Xenophilius, who had backed up to the door with his wand in his hand. He was pale white and practically twitching as he looked away from his daughter. I promise. The whispers grew loud as a second pair of yellow eyes emerged from the darkness. They cackled and howled as the... What have you done? Luna demanded as she looked at her father with a mixture of anger, fear, and despair. I can't let them take you, Luna. Not again. Xenophilius uttered, oblivious to the yellow eyes. Suddenly, Luna realized that she was the only one who could see the thousands of yellow eyes staring into her soul. She could no longer ignore the whispers and cackles as they reached a deafening volume. Her father was saying something, and Harry was yelling back with a look of loathing. Luna couldn't hear them over the Noggles' chant. The past shall reprise as another shall demise know. No, how long were you waiting to turn her in? Harry growled at Xenophilius, who looked heartbroken. She approached me after you both fled Hogwarts. I promised I would turn Luna in as long as she was safe. I wasn't going to do it until I knew for certain that she was in danger. The Nargles are destroying her mind. I don't have a chose. They will fix her. They won't kill her, but the Nargles will. I'm sorry. Who's she? No. Luna screamed as she bolted to the door and right into her father's arms. Before Harry could blink, Luna bit her father's hand and broke free from her father's grasp. Xenophilius backed away with his arms raised, like he was speaking to a lunatic. Listen, darling, everything going to be all right. I made them swear on your safely unbreakable vows. They only want to help you, Luna, to cure you. No, I hate you. Harry pulled his wand on Xenophilius. Step away from her, you treacherous bastard. Xenophilius glared at Harry with hatred. Traitor, I'm doing this for her. I turned on my soulmate for her. I turned you over to Death Eaters for her. Everything I have ever done and will ever do I do for Luna. Luna crushed her hand into her ears as the laughter made her scream. Without thinking, she bolted for the door and yanked it open, and screamed. Standing in the doorway was an all-too-familiar figure. Face hooded in shadow, the Reaper wrapped its thin, bony arms around Luna. Harry sprinted across the room and tackled the deathly figure, while Xenophilius screamed bloody murder. The three sprawled across the floor as the figure reached for its scythe. Harry pointed his wand at the hooded creature's head, but found himself flying across the room, hitting the wall and knocking the air out of him. Luna cried out as she tried to get to Harry, but found herself unable to move as the figure rose to its feet and held Luna with its outstretched hand in front of her face. The figure raised its hand, and Luna whimpered as she followed it off the floor. Looking under the hood, Luna could only see darkness. Let her go! You swore you wouldn't harm her, you made the vow. Xenophilius shouted as he grabbed the figure's wrist, but was unable to even move it. The vow is still in effect, I assure you, a woman said from the doorway. Though scaring the child does not necessarily violate the vow, it really is in bad taste. The figure dropped Luna to the floor, and she was able to get a look at the women. She just smiled as she started repairing an old shattered table. You better help up your friend. We have lots to discuss. Luna uncertainly glanced over to Harry, who was still struggling to his knees, and ran over to help him up. Harry hardly moved, and Luna only seemed to hurt him worse. Suddenly, Harry cried out as an orange spell hit him in the chest. Luna shouted, "Leave him alone." The witch smiled as she lowered her tea tray and sat at a transfigured table. I just wanted to help. We can't have Harry Potter hurting himself with a broken rib. That could kill him if it punctures something vital. Come join me, we have much to discuss. Xenophilius stared at her. Is now the time for tea parties? The Nargles are going to do nothing, the witch said sweetly as she took a sip of her tea. I can assure you no one is leaving this room unless I say so. Miss Lovegood and Mr. Potter, please take a seat. We have much to discuss. Luna struggled to comprehend what she was seeing. Jane Grimhilda was sitting with her nervous father, drinking tea in the middle of her mother's old lab. Luna squeezed Harry's hand for assurance as they walked towards the table. Neither sat down. Suit yourself. Jane Grimhilda sighed as she looked at the young couple with a warmness that didn't reach her eyes. She practically gushed as she spoke. Luna, you don't not mind if I call you Luna. Well, Luna, you have no idea how long I've wanted to meet you, and of course who doesn't want to meet you, Harry, the savior of Britain. It is an honor to meet such brave youngsters such as yourselves. Grimhilda held her hand out to Harry, who continued staring at her coldly. The minister grinned, her ruby lips giving away shark-like teeth. You haven't changed a bit, have you, Harry? Just as insolent as ever. My, your scar has faded as well. Of course, not all scars fade, but of course you know all about that, Luna. All the magic in the world could only hide yours. That isn't necessarily a negative thing. Scars have a way of reminding us of our mistakes, if one learns to interpret them in the correct and proper fashion. Grimhilda looked at Luna and whispered, So, Luna, are you really a... Squib. Luna stared back and nodded. Grimhilda scowled. Well, that's no good. You're far too important for that. I mean, everyone is talking about you. The Totalitter hear a great many things, things that might not be real at all. So how do I sort the fact from the fiction? The minster looked around as if she was expecting an answer. Even Xenophilius was staring at her like she had grown a third head. When no one answered, she uttered with a mischievous wink. You don't. Instead, you write your own book and write your own truths, your own laws, and your own world. After all, what is reality in the face of mass delusion? The witch giggled as she took another sip of her tea. That is the secret to control, distorting perception. Dumbledore could have killed a person, and people would still think he was the embodiment of good, if no one found out about it. When a tree falls in the woods and no one hears it, does it make a sound? Not at all. Same goes for life. You all have your own perception of reality, yet the slightest bit of knowledge can replace ignorance with life-altering changes. Keep the people ignorant of reality, and you can do what is necessary to preserve order. If I cleared you of ignorance, would you thank me, Luna? I doubt it. The truth is a great and terrible thing. I'm sure you wish you never knew about your father's involvement in Pandora's death. What about your involvement? Luna uttered, as the two witches looked each other in the eye. You had my mother killed, didn't you? You're the Earth Mother. A look of sadness came across Jane Grimhilda's face that made Luna's belly churn. The Earth Mother isn't a person, it is a metaphor in a prophecy referring to a person. I suppose there is a possibility that it refers to me, but I heard them all. The Department of Mysteries was once full of prophecies. They are unreliable and often mean many different things. What about my mother? Luna growled. I sent the aura, Jane confessed. The consequences of that decision ended Pandora's life, but I did not have her killed. She was a nuisance, a true master of disorder, but she need not have died. If anyone is responsible for her death, it was Pandora herself. Luna glared at her with pure loathing, causing the women to chuckle. Perceptive has made you rather mad at me. Your perspective of things is that I killed your mother. If I changed your perspective, you would view me rather differently. Well, I think it's time that I cure you of the blessing that is ignorance. I think it's best that we speak to each other plain. The minister reached into her robes and pulled out a small vial with a brown liquid inside. She looked to the Reaper and uttered in a voice that broke no argument, "Secure the room." The figure floated across the room and seemed to be casting wards around it. Xenophilius spoke with a weariness. What are you doing? Grimhilda drank the vial before speaking. Something long overdue, Xenophilius. And then she started to change. Luna and Harry watched in disgust as her flesh began to bubble and boil. Her bones snapped and crunched as they bent into their original form. Her unnatural beauty vanished as she seemed to age before their eyes. Her skinny figure bulked, and her skin became dry and wrinkled. Her eyes lost their color, looking as black as the corner of the shadow-filled lab. The transformation stopped, and Xenophilius was the only one who wasn't looking at her with shock and disdain. Sitting before them was someone they knew all too well, a short, stubby woman with a plastic smile that made her look like a toad. Harry uttered darkly, "You," Luna practically hissed at her, "are supposed to be in Azkaban." Dola's Umbridge practically giggled. I run Azkaban. I run the Ministry. I run Hogwarts. I run everything, girl, and I had the minister in my pocket before he foolishly got himself impeached. After that, I had to involve myself more personally. When a man makes a mess, it takes a woman to clean it up, isn't that right, dear? Yes, minister, uttered a dark voice from the shadows. Luna looked and saw the Reaper standing there still as stone. Umbridge grimaced. Don't call me that title, it means nothing to me. Being minister keeps me from my work. Now lower your hood, you're among enemies. The hooded figure slowly raised its arms and lowered its hood. It slowly walked into the light, and Harry had to hold Luna back. Xenophilius growled at Umbridge. Get him out of my house, Umbridge chuckled. You really believe this is your house? I'm afraid I must decline your request. Mr. Shacklebolt has been serving as my personal bodyguard. He is quite good at it, though I don't think the work has been good for his health." Luna could not deny that the man had seen better days. His dark skin seemed pale and tinged with a greenish color to it. His eyes seemed half vacant, though his mind was clearly intact. He looked sick, in more ways than one, yet power seemed to flow from his presence, a cold and toxic presence. He didn't say anything. He stood silently waiting for Dolores to instruct him. "Kingsley, please don't tell me you have forgotten your manners. After all, you are their guest." "Yes, Minister." Shacklebolt spoke deeply, sounding as if he would rather not. "Potter and Lovegood, it has been too long." "Don't speak to her, you murderer," Harry shouted as he stepped in front of Luna, something Luna was grateful for as she felt her world spinning. "Oh, that's right, I forgot you killed the harlot," Umbridge uttered as she pointed to the stained spot on the floor. "Is that where you killed her?" "Yes, Minister." "Did she suffer?" Umbridge inquired with the evil grin often seen on the faces of pranksters. "Yes, Minister," Dolores persisted as Luna struggled not to claw out her cold eyes. "Did you enjoy it, killing her?" Kingsley did not answer at first. He just glared at Umbridge with loathing, something which seemed to amuse her. Then he spoke. "I did what I had to." "Dragon shit," Harry yelled, only for Kingsley to grab his wrist and yank it towards Umbridge in a painful angle. Luna started shouting, but Kingsley seemed to keep her at bay as a dark humming filled the room. "It's all a matter of interpretation." "How's this for perspective?" Umbridge whispered as her fingers traced the scars on his hand. "I must not tell lies. Yes, that is what I made you write with your blood, right. Yet I knew the Dark Lord was back. We needs Dark Lords to clean up the country of unsavory elements during their brief reigns of terror. Of course, being an insane Dark Lord, his reign would not last. They never do." Dolores smiled as the long nails dug into the scars on Harry, and as she continued looking into Harry's eyes. "So how else should we interpret this? What was I really trying to tell you? As the head of the Unspeakables, I am able to control the Ministry of Magic, and with it, all of Wizarding England. I know everything that there is to be known, and I know what every individual knows, and most importantly, I know what everyone should be permitted to know. So, what does that, Scar, really mean? Well, I knew you spoke the truth, and you knew you spoke the truth, but the world knew you were lying. They knew this because I told them to, not with words, but by doing what I do best, manipulating perception. They believed the truth I educated them to believe, yet you persisted with your delusion. I have met individuals like you, the stubborn, willful outcast. Willful people aren't so hard to control, though. You just need to break them. The truth is what I say, and by disagreeing you are lying. The scar's meaning is simple, really. Respect your superiors. Your disobedience is prohibited." Umbridge took a long sip of her surgery tea, closing her eyes as her nails dug deep and drew blood from Harry's hand. Harry bit his lips as he tried to deny her the satisfaction of his pain, but Luna's screams, as she struggled to help Harry, seemed to be music to the witch's ears. Then she opened her eyes and smiled so wide she looked like a frog. "Now the question is, how deep shall I have to cut you before it finally sinks in?" Umbridge took the mug of tea and started pouring it onto Harry's hand. Even he could not help but cry out. Xenophilius broke in. "Enough of this, Dolores. You are not here to hurt Potter and my daughter. You are here to help them." "Am I?" Umbridge uttered, sounding bored before nodding to Kingsley, who released Harry from his grip. Harry backed away, holding his bloody and scalded hand, while Umbridge drank the rest of the tea. "Harry!" Luna yelled as Kingsley let her run to Harry. Umbridge raised her wand and knocked Luna to the floor with a whimper. "Luna!" Xenophilius cried out before turning on Umbridge. "You swore you wouldn't hurt her. You made an unbreakable vow." "I swore I wouldn't kill her," the minister said with a condescending grin. "I have no intention of killing it. If I did, it would have died years ago. I would have given her detention while I taught at Hogwarts and poisoned her there. She's much more useful to me alive, though it would be no great loss if she died." "You're a monster." Luna shouted as she struggled to her feet, her eye already showing signs of bruising. I'm a monster. Umbridge laughed viciously as she rose to her feet, red in the face. I am the only thing standing between order and chaos. You are the monster, a monstrosity of birth, transformed into an abomination by that mad woman Pandora. Don't speak her name. You killed my mother. Luna screamed, causing the mug on the table to shatter into a million pieces. Well, you're not all squib yet, Umbridge said with a gleam in her eyes before looking at Luna with a strange look Luna could not place. You really believe that, Luna? You really think I killed your mother? Luna sobbed with anger. I know you did, and for what? Because my mother wanted to give us squib magic. Umbridge started to chuckle again, but this time there was no humor in her voice. I support giving squibs magic. It's the muggles I don't trust. Besides, giving us squib magic is dangerous, and has to be done in a proper, regulated fashion, or they will destroy us all. Squibs are inferior creatures. Give them magic freely, and they will turn on us like the ravenous half-breeds they are. Shut up! Luna shouted with tears of rage in her eyes as she approached the older witch and looked up into her cold eyes. Why would you want to help people like me? You've been trying to stop my work from the beginning. You killed my mother, and you're a bigot. I'm a realist. I see things for what they are. I'm a sister as well, Umbridge replied with a look of disdain. My father married a muggle and gave birth to me. Then they gave me a brother, such a sweet little thing. He didn't talk much at first. He was timid, weak, and wide-eyed. Eventually, it became all too clear that little Evan was nothing more than a squib. Father, for all his many faults, was rightfully both furious and disgusted. He wanted to dispose of the child, but eventually he simply banished his filthy muggle wife and child back into their own world. I confess I was rather upset to see them go. I did not understand then, but Father set me straight and showed me my ignorance. It's one of two things I truly owe to my father. My father was a janitor. He was able to find out many a wizard's secrets this way, but I was never going to succeed in politics, the daughter of a janitor. So I convinced him to retire young and then cut all ties from him. Last I heard he died poor and hungry. That's not all, though. I ended up having a child of my own. Times had since changed, and it was confirmed that I had a miscarriage. Umbridge uttered, her eyes darkening. A miscarriage? Luna spoke with a hint of sympathy. Umbridge snorted. Miscarriage, squib, afterbirth. Again, it depends on your perception. Magic is consistently evolving, and the moment it was born, we were able to determine that the creature was a squib. Luna glared at her and felt Harry grab her hand to stop her from acting rash. You, Umbridge spoke with anger in her heart, her words sharp and cutting. I can honestly say I never felt so ashamed and disgusted in all my life. What kind of witch births a squib? What would my father say? He would laugh at me. I'm sure he is still laughing from his grave. I think he did it. Somehow he must have cursed me. So it was, I birthed a squib. I hated that thing completely and utterly, so I decided to have the beast destroyed. Luna tried to break free as she hissed. How could you do that? To your own child? I would never do such a thing to my own child, but I did not have a child. I had a half-breed, a freak of birth, the minister uttered sinisterly. Of course, that wasn't the end of the story. My then soon-to-be ex-husband was outraged and devastated, called me lots nice things. Hell, even my unspeakables were upset with me, and that doesn't happen often, I assure you. Well, I moved on with my life, not knowing that I had been betrayed. My husband had a friend among the unspeakables, and instead of destroying the creature like I had ordered, they took it with them. They raised the bastard, got married, and became one big, happy family. How sweet! Dolores spat with disgust. They were happy for a while, but Luna, let me tell you something. Umbridge bent down and looked right into Luna's eyes as she whispered, there is nothing I don't know. If you keep a secret from me, I will find out what it is. I found out, and they aren't such a happy family anymore. Luna's glare weakened under the witch's empty gaze. Why are you telling me this? Umbridge smiled sadly. I'm afraid the mother died. We tried to help her, but in the end, we had to kill her. Xenophilius placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Pandora, I understand the desire to change Luna's hair. I didn't do this. Pandora interrupted. Luna stumbled as a vision flashed across her eyes, and she could hear the hissing of Nargles. Luna ignored them as she stood her ground. Why are you telling me this? Luna uttered, her voice weakening as she started breathing heavily. Luna, Harry spoke uncertainly, squeezing her trembling hand. It happened again, and this time the memory seemed to be clearer, and Luna started to hear things she had not heard before. Xenophilius, since when did you become a father? Umbridge asked slowly. Xenophilius looked up. Since she was born, she's 7 years old and sh. 7. I don't remember dear Pandora being pregnant at the time. Why are you telling me this? Luna shouted as she trembled. Umbridge's lips twisted upwards. I think you know why. You will be stepping on the toes of a lot of powerful people, Xenophilius rebuffed. And those same people will be after Luna. You know what would happen if she got her hands on Luna? Pandora snorted. So that's what this is about. You're scared of her. And you're not, Xenophilius growled. Luna took a step back. No, I don't know. Look around you, everybody knows. The witch whispered. Denial will get you nowhere. You rely totally on Pandora, even though she has long departed from this realm. You have built a wall around yourself, but the very foundation to this wall is cracked. You have put too much faith in that foundation, and soon the wall will fall and it will crush you. Luna broke Harry's grip and backed up against the wall. They all seemed to be surrounding her, even the walls were closing in on her. Luna looked to her father desperately. Father. Xenophilius, since when did you become a father? Umbridge asked slowly. Xenophilius looked up. Since she was born, she's 7 years old and sh. 7. I don't remember dear Pandora being pregnant at the time. Xenophilius met her daughter's eyes for the first time, looking defeated. Luna slowly started shaking her head, unable to comprehend. She started pleading to him, to Pandora, to anyone. No, she's lying, right, Dad? It's not true, tell me the truth. Please, Dad, please. Xenophilius practically wept. The weight of the world seemed to crumble on him at last. Luna, why couldn't you just let sleeping dogs lie? You are not your mother. You are nothing like your mother. You don't truly want to be like your mother, you just think you do. You are nothing like your mother. No, Luna shouted over the laughter, the horrible, cruel laughter. You're all lying. A terrible thing about the truth. Once it's learned, it can never be unlearned. You must live with your knowledge. Dolores uttered before smiling as she conjured herself another cup of tea. Shut up. You think she loved you. If only you knew the truth, girl. You are nothing but a puppet on a string. Even in death, she still uses you. Luna crushed her ears with her pale hands and started shaking her head violently as the room was spinning. She felt Harry pull her into her arms, and she started fighting his grip. Giving into his embrace would mean accepting the truth, but there was no truth to accept, just lies, horrible, horrible lies. A terrible thing about the truth. Once it is learned, it can never be unlearned. You must live with your knowledge. Luna couldn't fight it. She couldn't forget. The truth could not be fought, and it crushed her. She collapsed into Harry's arms as she sunk into the very depths of despair. Xenophilius was incensed. You are mad, Pandora nodded. That is why Luna must finish what I've started. My daughter is the only one I trust with this task. Don't you understand? Xenophilius started at Pandora with anger as he hissed under his breath. She's not your daughter. Xenophilius again stumbled, this time from the impact of Pandora's hand to his face. Luna heard it this time, the words Xenophilius had whispered under his breath. The Nargles were chanting it as they destroyed everything in their path, every shred of doubt, every ounce of hope. She's not your daughter. Luna felt something pull her from Harry's arms forcefully and knew it was Kingsley. She found herself facing the horrible woman who she wished she'd never met. Her face was smug and cruel. She hated Luna and her existence. She was her mother. The two inescapable facts cut through her soul, leaving a scar she could never hide from. The Earth Mother was Dolores Umbridge, and she was her real mother. The Moon Mother, Pandora Lovegood, was not her mother. Who Pandora was. Luna wasn't sure anymore. She only knew that her heart was shattered. Dolores let out a whistle. You hear that? That is the sound of your world being turned upside down. Maybe now you can appreciate the power of perception. Dolores smiled as she looked to Kingsley. Take the girl to the Department of Mysteries while Harry and I discuss his pending support to our ministry. Luna. Harry started to speak, but felt the back of Kingsley's hand and felt his voice be silenced. Xenophilius looked vacantly at something only he could see, only looking up when Umbridge grabbed his attention. A.M., I promise I will return your daughter to you cured. She will be obedient and sane. She will be happy and normal. No longer shall you be bothered by Nargles, and you shall have a daughter you can be proud of. Umbridge reached into her pocket and pulled out a bag of sickles. She placed the bag into his hand and made him look into her cold eyes. You have been most cooperative, Xenophilius. Since she is technically a fugitive, I can promise that you will be well rewarded for this. Unfortunately, I am rather low on cash at the moment, but I did happen to have some spare change on my person to tide you over until you can be adequately rewarded. Umbridge smirked as Xenophilius looked into the pouch and flinched. 30 sickles should tide you over until then. Hopefully by then you will have learned your place. I don't want there to be any more accidents. Dolores smiled sweetly before turning to Shacklebolt, already pulling out a potion vial. With a sip, she started her painful transformation back into Jane Grimhilda. Xenophilius looked between the coins in his hand and his daughter. He had never seen her look so broken, so empty, not even when she had been in St. Mungo's. Harry was trying to reach for Luna, even as Shacklebolt started dragging the two up the slanted stairs. Xenophilius let the coins slip from his hands. Merlin, I've done it again. I didn't mean to. Oh, Merlin, not again. Xenophilius started yelling up to Luna, following her up the stairs. I trusted you. I trusted you to help Luna. You didn't trust me. You needed my help, and need overcomes a trust every time. Jane Grimhilda uttered with contempt. Xenophilius was now beside himself as he started shouting. I'm sorry, Luna. Forgive me, Pandora. Oh, Merlin, Pandora, what have I done? I have destroyed you both. Grimhilda rolled her eyes as she followed them to the front door of the house. Quit your whining. You are a hero to our cause. Xenophilius looked at his daughter, who met his eyes, looking so young and old, so sad and weak. No, I'm not. I don't want to be a hero. I just want to be her hero, the minister snorted. She's a squib. The fact you spared her life makes you her hero. Does she look like she feels that? She sees me as a villain, and she's right. Xenophilius cried, his voice echoing through the house. I betrayed my little girl. I betrayed my soulmate Pandora. I try to help, but I only curse the ones I love with pain. Just wanted to help. I didn't mean to hurt my family. I don't want to hurt anyone. Dolores suppressed her mirth. You're a fool, Xenophilius. It's what you are and always will be. Xenophilius glared at her before turning to his daughter. No. Not anymore. I remember when you looked up to me, Luna, when I was your hero. I will be one again. Xenophilius looked at Umbridge and whispered, Leave my children here. Get out of my house and never come back. Dolores couldn't help but laugh. What did you say? Xenophilius shivered but shouted anyway. Leave my children here. Get out of my house and never come back. Umbridge struggled to stop from falling over as she cackled. Xenophilius with a backbone. This is pathetic. I shall see you when you've sobered up. No, you will never come back. Get out. Get out of my home. Xenophilius shrieked as he raised his wand at Umbridge. Umbridge wasn't laughing anymore, but the room seemed a lot colder. Lower your wand. Not until you leave my home and never come back, Xenophilius growled. I never should have helped you if she knew what I did. Then he froze as his eyes lit up. His voice was a rasped whisper. Pandora, you knew, didn't you, what I would do to you and Luna? You knew everything that would happen, didn't you? You've known all along, the whole time. Then he started laughing, sounding a lot like Pandora had. Luna whispered wearily, Father, never marry a seer. Xenophilius laughed erratically. Or maybe you should. Marrying her was best decision of my life. I miss her. Xenophilius lunged into action, pressing his wand deep into Umbridge's throat. "Tell him to let them go. Give Harry his wand back." Umbridge nodded to Kingsley, who did as ordered. Harry grabbed Luna, who was staring at her father in shock, and pulled her to the side. Kingsley reluctantly handed Harry his wand, who then proceeded to aim it at him. Xenophilius blushed with excitement, smiling manically. "I should kill you, Shacklebolt, but I would rather you leave here before my arm gets tired and I do something drastic." "You wouldn't dare," Umbridge hissed. You dared first. When you violated my home, you betrayed my trust and hurt the people I love." Xenophilius all but breathed fire as he spoke. His eyes seemed to shine for the first time in years. Luna noticed they were a strange, vibrant yellow color and wondered how she had never noticed before. Xenophilius spoke with reverence. "You can hear me, can't you, Pandora? You can hear me from the past. You can see this with your own eyes and hear me with your own ears. Then listen to my prayer. I'm sorry for all I've done. I only wanted to help. I'm sorry for not trusting you. I always should have trusted you. I trust you now, Pandora, with all of my heart. Every wrong that I have done will lead to her vision, and this vision will be worth the price. I put all of my faith in her now, as I do what must be done. Luna, she loved you, I swear to Merlin, she loved you. You shall understand someday. Do what must be done, whatever it is you must do." Umbridge tried to break free, but Xenophilius dug the wand deep into the right of her neck. Umbridge grinned. "You better kill me, Xenophilius, because I have power too. Kingsley, if he strikes me down, kill them all." Shacklebolt had his sylph up, and Harry started throwing curses at him. Xenophilius started casting a curse when Umbridge screamed. "Cease this madness at once." Everyone stopped, and Umbridge composed herself. "I have a way for us all to get out of this alive, or we can act like uncivilized half-breeds and butcher each other like animals." Xenophilius, would I raise my wand with the understanding that resisting would end poorly for myself? Xenophilius hesitated before nodding. Umbridge reached into her robes and raised her wand to the ceiling. "I swear on my life and magic that neither myself or Kingsley Shacklebolt shall harm Luna Lovegood and Harry Potter, nor shall they be forcibly taken from your home, as long as you swear to not attempt to harm us." A light briefly flashed from her wand, and she strolled away from Xenophilius and his threatening wand. Umbridge nodded to Shacklebolt, who led her to the front door. "Thank you for your generous hospitality. Harry and Luna, allow me to extend an invitation to the ministry. You are, of course, welcome at any time. I have a feeling you will be in our company sooner than you believe." Xenophilius briefly smiled before raising his wand and flicking the door open. "I'd thank you for gracing us with your presence, but honestly, when it comes to you, I don't give a damn." Luna looked over Harry's shoulders before looking at her father with a hint of awe. Harry nodded to him, and Xenophilius nodded back. Shacklebolt opened the door, and Dolores, in the guise of Jane Grimhilda, walked out the front door. Luna's face scrunched in confusion as she heard the laugh, but she heard another laugh as Shacklebolt ducked his head to leave the house. Kingsley stepped out of the door and prepared to shut it when he was stopped by Grimhilda, who looked rather smug as she peeked her head into the house. Xenophilius frowned as he looked at her before his eyes hardened. She spoke with her sweet voice. "Pardon me, I almost forgot." Shacklebolt seemed to rush through Grimhilda's flesh like a ghost as he attacked. Xenophilius moved faster as he raised his wand, but aimed it not at his attacker, but at Luna. Petrificus totalis. Luna felt her body stiffen and fell to the floor with a thud. Harry fell beside her in a similar state, followed by Zeno's wand, which he let slip from his fingers. Luna could not move a muscle or utter a sound. Her moving eyes could see nothing but the ceiling. Luna, however, heard everything. She fought the spell with all her might as she heard the sounds of glass breaking, of violent collisions with the floor, and of horrible cries and gasps of pain. Luna struggled against her father's magic, but could not even scream when he heard a gasping body tumble down the stairs. For a moment there was only silence. Then Luna felt the spell lift, and she was able to scream. Harry threw himself on top of Luna as Kingsley held the scythe over the two, yet he did not move. Dolores swaggered up to her servant and laughed. "Ops, forgot to mention him in my witch's oath." Luna was about to launch herself at the toad-like woman when she heard a voice cry out. "Don't, Luna, don't fight them. It's what they want." Luna heard her father and looked at them. "You can't touch us, your witch's vow." Umbridge grinned with malice. "Then I guess it is goodbye for now. I shall see you very soon, my child." Umbridge strolled out of the house with Shacklebolt on her heels. This time they slammed the door and vanished. By then, Luna was already halfway down the slanted stairs. "Father!" Xenophilius was lying at the bottom of the stairs, crawling slowly towards an unknown destination before he collapsed onto the floor. Luna quickly rolled her father over and felt her heart stop. He was pale and had a horrible wound across his chest, blood pouring from it at a startling rate. His breathing was labored as his eyes met his daughter's. His voice was as weak as a ghost's. "Luna, I should have told you so long ago. Trust your mother, Luna. Have faith in her knowledge, as I always should have. At least I understood before it was too late." "No, you're fine, father. You're going to be okay. Harry can heal you, right, Harry?" Luna looked desperately to Harry, who looked on through the doorway. Xenophilius chuckled. "Luna, you are wrong and also right. I have never felt better, not in so many years have I felt so. Complete. I hear her, Luna. She is calling to me. I must go to her. It has been too long." "She can't have you," Luna cried out, too weak to shout, to be angry, or do anything but cry. "She has always had me, and I have always had her, as you will always have me. Don't listen to that wicked woman. Blood or not, she is your mother. But you are my father. I need my father. I can't." Luna sobbed as she shook with despair. "No, not any more." Xenophilius looked over to Harry as he said this. "Stand by her, fight for her. Be what I failed to be in life, and as I die I shall be proud to call you son, as I am honored to call Luna my daughter." Harry nodded as he placed a hand on Luna's shoulder. She reached up with her opposite hand and gripped it firmly as if he would disappear if she let go. "Noggles, show her what must be shown, and protect her as if she was one of your own." Xenophilius closed his eyes as he whispered. "Luna, I know things seem dark now, child, but the dawn is going to be astounding." Luna had a sense of déjà vu and swore she heard Pandora's voice as the familiar words were spoken. Xenophilius opened his eyes but did not look at Luna, but at something else. Something made his eyes shine, like a shadow in the light. "Pandora!" Xenophilius reached out and grabbed hold of an unseen phantom that held his eyes with wonder and awe. His fist tightened as he exhaled. "Pandora! My love, take me home. I am ready." "Father, the more I see, the less I know for sure." John Lennon.